Chapter 3678. The two balls of light swallowed by the bloody vortex turned into pure energy and merged with Li Feng's law of darkness. That's right. It merged with Li Feng's law of darkness. After this energy merged, the strength of Li Feng's law of darkness seemed to have increased. This? Qin Feiyang's face was full of disbelief. The power of law could grow by swallowing other laws? This was the first time he had seen this. He suspected that this was an illusion, but after repeated confirmation, Li Feng's law of darkness was indeed a little stronger. Qin Deity. When Qin Feiyang opened the eye of life and death, Li Feng felt the familiar feeling from before. He immediately opened his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. The eye of life and death disappeared. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" Li Feng was suspicious and a little flustered. Still playing dumb? You swallowed the two balls of fire and merged with the law of darkness, making it stronger. Is there no reason for this? Qin Feiyang said angrily. Li Feng's eyes trembled. Why couldn't even this escape Qin Deity's eyes? He hurriedly said, "Qin Deity, it's not a living person. It's just a soul of the dead. It's not a big deal." Soul of the dead? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. According to the blood ancestor, the creatures here are all skeletons. And these skeletons have been born with spiritual wisdom. They are called souls of the dead. Li Feng nodded. Qin Feiyang asked, "Then why did your law of darkness become stronger when you swallowed the souls of the dead?" "Because the souls of these skeletons contain the power of law. As long as I devour these laws, it can merge with my own. In this way, I don't need to comprehend the profundities of the laws. I can continue to improve the strength of my laws." Li Feng explained. "You can do this?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. "This is a supreme secret technique," Yi Futian said. "What the blood ancestor taught me is the same as how I devoured the flesh and blood of other creatures to improve my cultivation base." Speaking of this, Li Feng hastily waved his hand and said, "But don't be angry. I have never devoured anyone's laws in the sky cloud realm." Qin Feiyang was silent for a moment before he shook his head and sighed. "As long as you don't kill the innocent, it doesn't matter even if you devour other people's laws." Li Feng heaved a sigh of relief. He lowered his head and said, "Actually, even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it." "Can't do it?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Yes. The skeletons here are different from the creatures outside. The people and ferocious beasts outside have their own power of law, so even if I devour their souls, I won't be able to get the power of law. But the skeletons here are different. Their laws have fused with the souls of the undead. Devouring their souls is equivalent to devouring their laws. This is also the reason why the blood ancestor asked me to come to the Skybell Divine Treasury. Here I can quickly become stronger and master various profound meanings. According to him, when I reach a certain point, I can even master the ultimate profound meaning." Li Feng explained. "In other words, you can only devour souls? And you can't devour laws alone?" Qin Feiyang asked. "No. To be exact, this supreme secret technique can only allow me to devour the souls of the undead," Li Feng said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "According to what you said, isn't this secret technique tailor-made for the Skybell Divine Treasury?" Although this secret technique was very powerful, it was useless outside. It was only effective in the Skybell Divine Treasury, because only the Skybell Divine Treasury had souls of the undead. This was taught to me by the blood ancestor. "I don't know." Li Feng shook his head. "Are there any sequelae?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Such a terrifying secret technique shouldn't be so simple." "I don't know." Li Feng shook his head again. "You don't know anything and you dare to cultivate it? If there are any fatal sequelae, who can you reason with?" When Qin Feiyang heard this, he immediately flew into a rage. "As long as I can become stronger and master the ultimate profound meaning, it doesn't matter if there are sequelae." Li Feng clenched his fists, his attitude quite resolute. Looking at Li Feng's current appearance, Qin Feiyang really didn't know what to say. In order to become stronger, in order to find the dragons and take revenge, he had completely gone mad. "Qin Deity, I know you are worried about me, but I don't regret it. When the dragons are destroyed, as long as you say the word, I will immediately kill myself in front of you." Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Up to you." Qin Feiyang sighed. It was impossible to persuade the current Li Feng. He could only hope that the blood ancestor really didn't have any intention of harming others. Thank you, Qin Deity. Li Feng bowed. No matter when, he was grateful and in awe of Qin Feiyang. He could slaughter tens of millions of people and make a continent bleed, but he would never do anything to hurt Qin Feiyang. Since you want to devour the souls of the dead, I will fulfill your wish and let you step into the perfected sovereign realm quickly. Anyway, I also want to know what the blood ancestor is hiding. Qin Feiyang swept his gaze in all directions, looking for traces of skeletons. Li Feng was extremely touched. This big brother's concern for him had never changed. Very soon, he found more than a dozen skeletons in the surrounding mountains and rivers. These were the skeletons of fierce beasts, and each of them was as big as a mountain. Only the law of darkness? Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and asked. Yes. Li Feng said. Yes. Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yes. After devouring the souls of the dead, no matter what kind of law the other party is, it will become pure law energy. The 6 laws that I have mastered can all absorb this energy. Li Feng explained. I see. It looks similar to the law of devour. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, that is to say, the 6 laws that you have mastered now are all comprehended by your own ability. The law of death and the law of spacetime are inherited. The others are all comprehended by me. The law of slaughter is also comprehended by me. Li Feng said. I see. But it is still very powerful. Qin Feiyang smiled. To be able to comprehend the law of spacetime and the law of slaughter before becoming a great sovereign, this was already far beyond the monstrous geniuses of the Sky Cloud realm. No, the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan's monstrous geniuses were all far inferior to this kid. Not to mention anything else, just this point alone didn't disappoint him. Then where did you get the inheritance? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. This Li Feng hesitated. Forget it if you don't want to say. Qin Feiyang waved his hand lightly. In fact, it wasn't difficult to think. In the Sky Cloud realm, besides the 4 forbidden areas, where else could there be the inheritance of the strongest law? So it must be a forbidden area. Let's go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and led Li Feng to start a hunt in this area. 2 days later, all the skeletons within 100 million miles were wiped out. There were a total of 500 to 600 skeletons. Li Feng swallowed the souls of these skeletons and really raised the strength of the law of darkness to the 4th profound. Furthermore, he had naturally grasped the profundities of the laws. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, Qin Feiyang wouldn't believe that there was such a ridiculous thing in the world. However, when he thought of the white-eyed wolf's innate ability, he was relieved. Because compared to the white-eyed wolf's heaven-defying ability, Li Feng's secret technique was still a long way off. At this time, the two stood in front of a city. The city covered an area of thousands of miles. It was dilapidated and there was no one to be found. It exuded a cold aura. However, in the city, both of them felt a lot of powerful auras. Qin Feiyang glanced at the ancient city and tried to contact the Black Tortoise realm. But he couldn't. It was as if there was an invisible force blocking the middle. Sure enough, the things in the illusion couldn't be taken seriously. Let's go. Qin Feiyang said without turning his head and stepped into the ancient city. Walking to the dilapidated streets, he looked at the devastated houses around him. Although this ancient city was broken out of shape, it wasn't difficult to see from the tall and majestic buildings that there was once an extremely prosperous civilization here. It was just that he didn't know what caused this civilization to disappear. Did a bloody battle happen here? Li Feng was suspicious. Where there are living creatures, there must be a battle. Perhaps many years later, the Sky Cloud realm will become like this and become a divine treasure in the eyes of future generations. Qin Feiyang sighed. This was the cruelty of war. War after war could gradually destroy a world. Suddenly, Li Feng pointed to a building on the left and said in surprise, Qin Deity, look, there seems to be a sword there? Qin Feiyang looked up. The building on the left was a tall palace. It was also dilapidated and dilapidated. On one of the walls, there was a black long sword inserted. The two of them walked over and looked carefully. The black long sword was 3 feet long and 4 fingers wide. It was completely black and engraved with mysterious patterns. After confirming that there was no danger, Li Feng grabbed the sword and pulled it out. The body of the sword was full of cracks, and the blade was badly damaged. It was dim and dull. It's still a supreme-level divine weapon. Li Feng was shocked. Unfortunately, the weapon spirit has been annihilated. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The sword was indeed a supreme-level divine weapon, but the weapon spirit had already dissipated. A divine weapon without a weapon spirit had no value at all. Li Feng checked and found that there was indeed no weapon spirit, so he resentfully threw it away and looked around again. They had just entered the ancient city and already encountered a supreme-level divine weapon. Maybe they could find some treasures in this city? Sure enough, Li Feng saw a lot of divine weapons around again. But when he ran over to check them one by one, his face was full of disappointment. None of the divine weapons had a weapon spirit. There's no need to look specifically. A divine weapon with a weapon spirit will automatically repair the body. So, as long as it's a broken divine weapon, the weapon spirit must have been destroyed. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Yes. Li Feng patted his head. So many divine weapons have fallen. It's really unbelievable. What kind of earth-shattering battle happened here? Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. They had only walked one street, and they had already seen no less than 100 heaven-defying divine artifacts. Moreover, most of them were heaven-defying divine artifacts of the supreme level. Chapter 3679. The dilapidated ancient castle and the broken divine weapons seemed to be telling a sad story. War was the most ruthless. No one in this world would yearn for war, but sometimes it was unavoidable. Unknowingly, Qin Feiyang led Li Feng to the center of the ancient city. This place was also riddled with holes. Countless divine weapons were scattered on the ground, but without exception, none of them had an artifact spirit. Many of them were even rusted. Qin Dage, there's a human skeleton here. Li Feng stood in a corner and shouted to Qin Feiyang, who was not far away. A human skeleton? Qin Feiyang was stunned and quickly walked over. He had been in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure for 2 days and had seen many ferocious beast skeletons, but he had never seen a human skeleton. Walking to Li Feng's side, Qin Feiyang looked at the corner. There was indeed a skeleton with its back against the wall and half lying on the ground. There was a sharp arrow in the forehead of the skull. This sharp arrow was also a supreme-level divine weapon. But under the erosion of time, it was already rusted. Obviously, this skeleton was pierced through the head by this sharp arrow when it was alive, and its divine soul was shattered. From the distribution of the bones, it's a woman. Li Feng squatted in front of the skeleton and carefully looked at it. Suddenly, he looked at the abdomen and pelvis of the skeleton and said in surprise, "And it's a pregnant woman." Qin Feiyang also looked at the abdomen of the skeleton. In the pelvis of the abdomen there was indeed the skeleton of a baby. Although it was decayed, it was not difficult to distinguish. War is indeed ruthless. Li Feng sighed, grabbed the sharp arrow in the head, and gently pulled it out. But because the skeleton had long decayed, it turned into ashes with a slight movement. For us, this is a place full of opportunities and opportunities. But for the creatures who once lived here, this is undoubtedly a purgatory that they never want to remember. Why can't the people in the world put down their personal grudges and stop the war? The outbreak of war will not only hurt others, but also hurt themselves, and even make a prosperous civilization disappear. Is this price worth it? Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Looking at the scene before him, Qin Feiyang seemed to have comprehended something as images flashed through his mind. His body and mind also gradually entered a wonderful state. A will of war quietly spread out. Li Feng quickly noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormality and raised his head to size up Qin Feiyang. His eyes flickered with envy. Epiphany. As expected of Qin Dage, he had entered a state of epiphany. No one is allowed to disturb Qin Dage. Immediately, Li Feng scanned his surroundings vigilantly. When one was in a state of enlightenment, they were most afraid of being disturbed by others. If he were to awaken halfway through, no matter how much he comprehended, all his previous efforts would be wasted. He had thought that nothing unexpected would happen. After all, they had been in the ancient city for so long, but they had not seen a single skeleton. However, not long after, a terrifying aura suddenly surged from the eastern side of the ancient city. Li Feng was shocked and rose into the air like lightning. He raised his head to look at the eastern side of the city and his expression changed drastically. There was a large number of skeletons outside the city. It was white and eerie. They were all skeletons of ferocious beasts. Each of them was as huge as a mountain. There were a total of 500 to 600 of them, covering the sky and the earth. They had hunted many skeletons in the 2 days since they entered the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. But this was the first time they had seen so many skeletons in groups. Boom! Without waiting for Li Feng to come back to his senses, a terrifying aura also surged from the western side of the city. Li Feng turned his head to look and his face could not help but turn pale. A large number of skeletons also surged from the western side of the city. Whether it was the number or strength, they were not inferior to the skeletons surging from the east. What's going on? Li Feng looked back and forth at the skeletons on both sides. Why were there so many skeletons all of a sudden? Boom! At this time a fierce aura also came from the southern and northern sides. What? Li Feng raised his head to look and found that a large group of skeletons also surged from the southern and northern sides of the city. Vast and mighty, their ferocious auras overflowed to the heavens. What the hell is going on? Li Feng frowned. There were so many skeletons surging from all 4 directions at the same time. In total, there were at least 3,000 skeletons. Could it be that they had encountered a skeleton tide? But that was not right. The Blood Ancestor did not say that there would be a skeleton tide in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. The so-called skeleton tide was more like a beast tide. Li Feng observed for a while and found that the skeletons in all directions seemed to have rushed out of the ancient city. He made a prompt decision to activate the law of force, slaughter, space-time, death, and devour. The power of the 5 great laws emerged and condensed into 5 enchantments. Layer after layer, they protected Qin Feiyang. 5 barriers, 5 layers of protection. Moreover, these 5 barriers had the effect of soundproofing. Human fresh blood. Thousands of skeletons surged into the ancient city, and their eyes instantly locked onto Li Feng, who was standing in the sky. The fire in their eyes emitted a strong desire. Boom! The next moment, all the skeletons were like a pack of hungry wolves, crazily pouncing on Li Feng. Courting death. Li Feng's eyes turned cold. The slaughter law was activated and turned into waves of blood, carrying a destructive aura, surging toward the skeletons in all directions. However, these thousands of skeletons did not stop at all, and their bodies also surged with the power of a law. Except for the strongest law, almost all the other laws were present. For example, the metal law, the sword law, the earth law, and so on. Coupled with their tough bodies, the waves of blood formed from Li Feng's laws of slaughter were unable to cause any actual harm to them at all. They continued to crush them unstoppably. So strong. Li Feng raised his eyebrows, and his blood-red eyes were filled with a monstrous murderous aura. Without hesitation, he activated the slaughter law's ultimate meaning. Slaughter hell. The sky instantly turned into a sea of blood, and a terrifying murderous aura shrouded the world. Crack. The next moment, countless blood-red lightning poured down from the sea of blood, and the world instantly turned into a purgatory. The skeletons were constantly shattered. After all, this was the ultimate meaning. Although his cultivation was weaker by a small realm, the power of the ultimate meaning could completely make up for the gap of a realm. At the same time, the blood-red vortex between Li Feng's eyebrows appeared again. A large blood-red hand stretched out from the vortex, grabbed the souls of the dead, and swallowed them all. These skeletons were a great tonic for him. Dozens of skeletons suddenly noticed Qin Feiyang below, and immediately chose to pounce toward Qin Feiyang. You're all courting death. Li Feng roared. Endless blood-red lightning, carrying an aura that could destroy the world, blasted out. Dozens of skeletons were shattered on the spot, and the souls of the dead were all caught by the bloody hand. Just nice, I'll use you guys to break through to the sovereign realm. Li Feng laughed maniacally as he killed madly. Qin Feiyang, who was inside the barrier, was completely unaware of the situation outside. With the protection of the 5 barriers in addition to the soundproofing effect, it was as if he was in a sealed space, and the surroundings were incomparably quiet. Outside, the slaughter hell shrouded the world, and blood energy surged, and the murderous aura was astonishing. Apart from the place where Qin Feiyang was, the entire ancient city was almost destroyed. Li Feng was like a demon god, crazily slaughtering. But suddenly, the ground below surged with a terrifying aura. Following closely, a blood-red sword, tearing the ground apart, slashed toward Li Feng with the power to destroy the world. He was caught off guard. A wound immediately appeared on Li Feng's body, and blood flowed out. What? This sword awakened him from the slaughter, and he hurriedly retreated, looking at the blood-red sword. This sword, as if stained with blood, emitted a strong smell of blood. A trace of shock crawled up Li Feng's face. It was actually a supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact with an artifact spirit. Clang! The blood-red sword recovered, and slashed toward the barrier where Qin Feiyang was. How dare you? With a thought from Li Feng, the supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact that was hidden in his body immediately rushed out. This was also a sword, and similarly, the blood-red light was monstrous, as if it was a demonic weapon from hell. Blood Drinker magic sword. Quickly stop it! Li Feng roared angrily. Accompanied by a loud clang, the Blood Drinker magic sword recovered, and its sharp edge tore the heavens and the earth. In an instant it crossed the barrier above and attacked the blood-red sword. Clang! The two heaven-defying divine artifacts fought together. Li Feng also killed the surrounding skeletons again. After the previous massacre, only half of the skeletons were left. As he absorbed the souls of the undead of these skeletons, his law of darkness was also rapidly advancing toward the fifth profound. But at this moment, on the ground below, another powerful aura emerged. Li Feng was shocked at once. He looked down and saw a blood shadow, rushing out from the ground with a whoosh. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Li Feng. Following closely, a blood-red bone claw reached toward Li Feng's lower abdomen. Is this a coincidence? Li Feng's hair stood on end, and he retreated without hesitation. It actually attacked his lower abdomen directly? One must know. The qi was in the lower abdomen. Usually when fighting with an enemy, one would seize the opportunity to destroy the opponent's qi. But now, the opponent he was facing was not a living person, but a dead skeleton. After death, skeletons were not fully conscious. For example, the surrounding skeletons of ferocious beasts, they were all fighting instinctively. Since they were fighting instinctively, how could they know to destroy the opponent's qi? I didn't expect your reaction to be so fast. A sinister laugh sounded. Li Feng was shocked. This tone seemed to be no different from a living person. He hurriedly raised his head and looked at the blood shadow standing opposite him. He didn't know why, but he was shocked. The blood shadow standing opposite him was indeed a skeleton. But the difference was that this skeleton was blood-red all over, and the soul of the undead in its eye sockets was also like a blood-red flame, jumping crazily. The most important thing was, this skeleton was not a ferocious beast, but a human. There was actually a human-shaped skeleton, and it seemed to have given birth to a complete consciousness. Obediently hand over your body. As long as I absorb your blood, maybe I can condense flesh and blood. The human-shaped skeleton laughed, looked at the surrounding skeletons of ferocious beasts, and shouted, "Kill!" Boom! At that moment, the surrounding skeletons of ferocious beasts pounced on Li Feng crazily, completely disregarding their own lives. Chapter 3680. So you're the one behind this? Li Feng's eyes turned cold. He was wondering why there were so many skeletons. It turned out that someone was secretly controlling them. In other words, from the moment they entered the ancient city, they had already attracted the attention of this human-shaped skeleton. The human-shaped skeleton did this to kill them and absorb their flesh and blood. Because in these 2 days, the skeletons they encountered could absorb the flesh and blood of living creatures to strengthen themselves. However, this matter was very funny in Li Feng's eyes, because it had always been him absorbing the flesh and blood of others. Thinking back, whether it was in the ancient world, Nether King's Hell, or later in the Sky Cloud realm, he didn't even know how many had died in his hands and had their flesh and blood sucked dry by him. But now, someone actually had ideas about him, and it was a skeleton? In this aspect you still have to call me old ancestor? Boom! The massacre hell enveloped all directions. The remaining half of the skeletons were constantly shattered. The profound meaning is indeed powerful. The human-shaped skeleton stood at the side and nodded. There was no fear in it at all, as if it had something to rely on in its hands. Li Feng was very comfortable now. It wasn't the killing that made him comfortable. It was the souls of the dead that made his law of darkness stronger. He had a hunch. As long as he absorbed all the souls of the dead here, his law of darkness should be able to reach the fifth profound meaning. And the human-shaped skeleton soon noticed this as well. What was going on? He was actually absorbing the souls of the dead? Seeing that Li Feng was getting braver as he fought, the human-shaped skeleton took a step forward, and a surge of law of slaughter rolled out. The sky was filled with blood-red lightning roaring and surging toward Li Feng. Massacre hell! Li Feng's face suddenly changed. A mere skeleton had actually grasped the ultimacy of the supreme realm? Boom! He quickly waved his hand, and the lightning around him turned into a torrent and rushed toward the skeleton's profound meaning. Accompanied by a heaven-shaking explosion, a terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions with this place as the center. Li Feng's body shook, and he spat out a mouthful of blood as he retreated. After all, his cultivation was only at the perfect sovereign realm, and this human-shaped skeleton, judging from its aura, definitely had the strength of a perfect sovereign realm. This is purgatory. None of the living beings who come here can leave alive. The human-shaped skeleton snickered. He took a step forward and threw a punch at Li Feng. Li Feng immediately summoned his armor. Crack! The human-shaped skeleton's fist landed on the armor. A crack immediately appeared on the armor, and Li Feng was once again sent flying by the terrifying power. This made Li Feng extremely shocked. After all, he was wearing a supreme-level armor. The strength of a single punch was able to shatter the armor. Didn't that mean the strength of the human-shaped skeleton had already reached the 9 heavens supreme level? Don't resist anymore. Just obediently become my sacrifice. The human-shaped skeleton laughed sinisterly. Not only had he grasped the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter, but he also possessed the heaven-defying body and strength of an autarch. He was practically a human-shaped weapon. For a time, Li Feng was beaten back again and again. Although his strength was not bad, his cultivation was his fatal weakness. If he was a paragon sovereign, he definitely wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Breakthrough. Only by breaking through can I turn defeat into victory. Li Feng turned his head to look at the surrounding skeletons. Their blood-red eyes were filled with desire. Even though these skeletons were not fully conscious, they couldn't help but feel a sense of fear at this moment. Swish! In the next instant, Li Feng activated his supreme-level support divine technique. Like a grim reaper, he crazily slaughtered the skeletons around him. Behind him, the human-shaped skeleton's every move was fatal. About a dozen breaths later, the armor on Li Feng's body finally reached its limit and fell apart. Without the armor, Li Feng's situation was even worse. In just a dozen breaths, he had slaughtered more than half of the skeletons. The souls of the dead turned into pure law energy and continuously merged with the law of darkness. He felt that he was getting closer and closer to breaking through. You can actually absorb the souls of the dead. Looks like I can't keep you alive. The human-shaped skeleton roared. As the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter was activated, blood-red lightning fell from the sky like a huge blood-red python. It carried an aura of destruction as it charged towards Li Feng. Li Feng's eyes darkened, and his physical body expanded. In just a moment his body was 100,000 feet long. This was the fifth profoundness of the law of force, 100,000 feet long divine body. Following closely, the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter, the fifth profoundness of the law of space, the law of devour, and the law of death were all activated. Now, Li Feng could be said to have no reservations as he roared, "Shatter all of you." As soon as he finished speaking, two gigantic hands that covered the sky and the earth slammed towards the surrounding skeletons. The ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter and the fifth profoundness of the three supreme laws all attacked the ultimate profoundness of the human-shaped skeleton. On one hand, it resisted the killing move of the human-shaped skeleton. On the other hand, it slaughtered the skeletons and absorbed the souls of the dead. Because of the shattering of his armor, he could not hold on for much longer. If he could not step into the sovereign realm, then he could only die. Boom! The surrounding skeletons were not in suspense. As the two giant hands fell, The remaining skeletons were all instantly smashed into pieces. The blood-red hand between his eyebrows also crazily expanded, grabbing all the souls of the dead and returning them to his body. At the same time, the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter and the fifth profoundness of the three supreme laws also fiercely collided with the ultimate profoundness of the human-shaped skeleton. Even with the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter and the fifth profoundness of the three supreme laws, it was still not a match for the human-shaped skeleton. It could not resist at all and was directly smashed into pieces. This was the gap between realms. As long as there was a gap between realms, it was useless no matter how many supreme laws one had mastered. Unless it was the ultimate profoundness of the supreme laws. For example, if Li Feng had mastered the ultimate profoundness of a supreme law, then even if there was a small barrier between their realms, he could still completely crush the human-shaped skeleton. Li Feng was heavily injured again, smashing into the ground below like a meteorite, blood gushing out of his body. However, just when he was full of expectations and thought that he could successfully step into the sovereign realm after devouring all the souls of the dead, he realized that it was still not enough. Just a little more. He consumed a divine life pill, endured the intense pain all over his body, and leaped up. Standing in the air, he scanned his surroundings, but there were no other skeletons in front of him. Die! It was also at this moment. The human-shaped skeleton rushed in front of Li Feng in one step, and its fist erupted with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. Get lost! Li Feng roared. It wasn't easy for him to comprehend the ultimate profoundness of the law of slaughter and master the three supreme laws. Before he could even start to shine, he was going to die here? No one would be willing to die like this. His whole body was like a raging beast as he threw a punch, accompanied by a cracking sound. His arm was shattered on the spot under the terrifying power of the human-shaped skeleton. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Immediately, he also flew out horizontally, dripping with blood. What a waste, what a waste! Looking at the flesh and blood flying all over the sky, the human-shaped skeleton shook its head in annoyance and once again charged towards Li Feng. The Sky Bell divine treasure is indeed terrifying. Even a random skeleton has such powerful strength. No, it seems that from the beginning to the end, I didn't see him activate the divine art. In the nick of time, Li Feng grabbed a wisp of spiritual light and used the supreme level support divine art to escape into the sky like lightning. The human-shaped skeleton's punch missed, and looking at Li Feng who escaped, it was extremely angry. Sure enough, Li Feng stopped in the void in the distance and looked at the human-shaped skeleton. His blood-stained face couldn't help but reveal a trace of a smile. Although his strength wasn't as good as the other party, he had the supreme level support divine art. As long as he continued to drag it out, when Qin Dage woke up with Qin Dage's strength, it would be easy to deal with such a thing. At the same time, he could also find fierce beast skeletons and upgrade the law of darkness to the fifth profoundness. As long as he stepped into the sovereign realm, there was no need for Qin Dage to make a move. He had full confidence that he could kill this skeleton. With this thought, Li Feng looked at the human-shaped skeleton and provoked, Come, let's continue. The bloody flames in the human-shaped skeleton's eyes continued to flicker. Suddenly it turned around and activated the supreme profoundness of the law of slaughter, charging towards Qin Feiyang below. How dare you! Li Feng roared. He never thought that the human-shaped skeleton would be so smart to choose to attack Qin Feiyang. This was forcing him to fight head-on. Li Feng gritted his teeth. Li Feng decisively activated the supreme level support divine art and flew above Qin Feiyang. Looking at the rolling blood-red lightning, his heart was shrouded in the aura of death. Seems like I can only activate that move, Li Feng murmured. His eyes were a little hesitant. Looking down at Qin Feiyang, he finally made up his mind. No matter what, he had to protect this big brother of his. But at this moment, inside the enchantment, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Li Feng was shocked and hurriedly looked down. He saw the 5 barriers he had set up shattering one by one. They couldn't withstand that aura at all. This aura came from Qin Feiyang. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's body was surging with a shocking battle intent, as if an ancient god of war had returned. Clang! The next moment, with a loud bang, the precepts of war rolled out in all directions. Supreme Profoundness War Domain. As Qin Feiyang spoke, it was as if a heavenly bell rang in the sky, deafening. Boom! The law of war domain. A huge domain appeared, enveloping the world. Supreme profoundness. Li Feng's eyes trembled. Was this Qin Daige's epiphany? He never thought that he would actually comprehend the supreme profoundness of the law of war. The law of destruction, the law of karma, the law of thunder, and the law of war. Now Qin Daige had mastered for supreme profoundness. He was getting closer and closer to becoming a supreme expert. The so-called supreme experts referred to those supreme existences who had mastered the 6 supreme profounds. In the blink of an eye, with the appearance of the war domain, Qin Feiyang suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of divine light shot out from his eyes as he looked at the human-shaped skeleton. Chapter 3681. A human skeleton? This also surprised Qin Feiyang. He had just woken up and knew nothing about what had happened. Therefore, not only did he see the human-shaped skeleton, but he was also very surprised when he saw the supreme meaning of the law of slaughter. Qin Daige. Li Feng was pleasantly surprised. He rushed behind Qin Feiyang. However, the supreme meaning of the law of slaughter had already arrived. Streaks of blood-colored lightning emitted a destructive aura. There was no time to explain to Qin Feiyang. Li Feng only reminded him, "Be careful." Qin Feiyang did not reply, nor did he do anything. The power of law in the bloodshed domain gathered from all directions and finally condensed into a thick black shield wall in front of him. Boom! The blood-colored lightning struck. The black shield wall collapsed, and the blood-colored lightning also dissipated. Li Feng was dumbfounded. How did he do it? Seeing that the situation was not good, the human-shaped skeleton immediately turned and fled out of the domain. Clang! However, with a thought from Qin Feiyang, a terrifying divine might erupted from the war barrier. Then a thick and heavy shield wall appeared all around the war barrier. Inside the barrier, it immediately became a space isolated from the outside world. Qin Feiyang sized up the human-shaped skeleton and asked, was he the one who activated the supreme meaning of the law of slaughter? Li Feng scanned the bloodshed domain and nodded. Yes, he activated it. His body and strength have both reached the supreme level. Is that so? Qin Feiyang stepped forward and punched the human-shaped skeleton. Humph! The human-shaped skeleton snorted coldly. The skeleton clenched its fist and punched out without dodging. Boom! The 2 fists collided, and both of them took a step back. It has indeed reached the supreme level, Qin Feiyang muttered. Moreover, compared to the skeletons he had encountered before, this human-shaped skeleton was more agile, and its mind was more active. It seemed to be no different from a living person. Qin Daige, help me. This skeleton is very powerful. The law energy of the soul of the undead must be even more powerful. If I can devour his law energy, I might be able to step into the sovereign realm. Li Feng stared at the human-shaped skeleton, his eyes full of desire. So fast? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Li Feng said, you don't know. When you were in enlightenment, he summoned thousands of skeletons, and their souls have already been devoured by me. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. With a wave, Li Feng immediately appeared outside the domain. He then looked at the human-shaped skeleton. Let me see how capable you are to dare to plot against us. The human-shaped skeleton snickered as it once again unleashed its ultimate profundity of the law of slaughter. The bloodshed domain immediately turned into a sea of blood. Bolts of blood-colored lightning roared like giant pythons. Qin Feiyang said. A storm appeared out of nowhere and swept out in all directions. This was formed by the law of war, and it contained unparalleled lethality. The blood-colored lightning and the storm constantly collided, and a destructive aura surged in the domain like angry waves. Looks like you're nothing much. The human-shaped skeleton grinned. Is that so? You probably haven't experienced the power of the bloodshed domain before. As Qin Feiyang's voice fell, a terrifying aura of war erupted in the domain like a volcano. The next moment, the human-shaped skeleton's law of slaughter seemed to be suppressed, and its power directly dropped by a level. What? The human-shaped skeleton was shocked. After the power of the massacre nomological laws was suppressed, The storm formed by the battle array nomological laws crushed the blood-colored lightning and engulfed the human-shaped skeleton in an instant. Every wind blade emitted a monstrous sharpness. Even though the human-shaped skeleton's bones had reached the supreme level, they were still rapidly cracking and shattering. No! The human-shaped skeleton roared in horror. It's too late. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and waved his hand, activating the highest level of the law of destruction. The statue of the god of destruction was like a god that had stepped into the world, and a palm fell. Accompanied by a shrill scream, the human-shaped skeleton shattered on the spot, and the soul of the dead in its eye sockets also disintegrated. Qin Feiyong stepped forward and grabbed the soul of the dead. He then scanned the bloodshed domain, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Just as he was about to leave the bloodshed domain, an even more terrifying battle intent erupted from his forehead. This battle intent far surpassed his own battle intent. What's going on? Qin Feiyong was shocked and touched his forehead. Boom! The terrifying battle intent actually blasted his hand away. The next moment, a divine light flashed past his forehead, and it was as if a peerless god of war had descended. Li Feng, who was outside, could not help but tremble. Qin Feiyong raised his head to take a look. To his surprise, he discovered that there was actually a large character floating in the sky, flickering with divine light. Battle. Looking at the word battle, Qin Feiyong's face was filled with astonishment, because he was too familiar with this word. It was the word battle on the 6-word divine art. What the hell? When he comprehended the law of life and death in the illusion, the word life and death appeared. Now that he had comprehended the highest level of the law of war, the word battle also appeared. Could it be, the battle word actually contained the epitome of the law of war? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong became inexplicably excited. If that was the case, then wouldn't the return, advance, and kill be the same? Suddenly, the battle word floating in the sky suddenly collapsed, turning into a waterfall and merging into Qin Feiyong's body. Looking at Qin Feiyong's sea of consciousness. At this moment, there were already 2 epitomes in his sea of consciousness. One was the epitome of the law of thunder. The other was the epitome of the law of life and death. At this moment, next to these 2 epitomes, another epitome gradually condensed. A moment later, when the epitome was formed, Qin Feiyong was overjoyed. It was really the epitome of the law of war. With the appearance of this epitome, he seemed to have a new understanding of the law of war. After the excitement, Qin Feiyong went into deep thought again. Why did the epitome of the law of life and death immediately appear when he comprehended the law of life and death, but the epitome of the law of war would only appear after he comprehended the highest level of the law of war? If the kill word, advance word, and return word indeed contained the epitome of the law of war, then would they only appear after he comprehended the highest level of the law of war? After pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyong could only attribute it to the fact that the law of life and death was too difficult to comprehend, so the epitome appeared in advance. But no matter what, to him, this was a matter worth celebrating. Because in the future, he did not need to look for the epitome of the law of war, nor did he need to comprehend it himself. This inadvertently saved him a lot of time. Moreover, he might not be able to comprehend it himself. Looking at it now, it was indeed as the castle said. The 6-word divine art was his life's treasure. It was also at this moment that he finally realized the true power of the 6-word divine art. Whoosh! Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyong suppressed the joy in his heart. With a thought, the bloodshed domain immediately collapsed. Qin Dage. Li Feng immediately ran to Qin Feiyong and asked in surprise, "What was that battle intent just now?" Because the bloodshed domain was sealed by the shield wall, he only sensed the battle intent and did not see the appearance of the battle word. Nothing. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and threw the undead soul to Li Feng. Thank you. Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and then smiled gratefully. He immediately opened the blood-colored vortex between his eyebrows and swallowed the undead soul. As expected, the law of war energy contained in the human-shaped skeleton's undead soul far surpassed that of the ferocious beast skeletons. After absorbing this energy, his law of darkness immediately charged to the 5th level of the law of war. Boom! At the same time, a powerful aura erupted uncontrollably. His cultivation directly stepped into the sovereign realm. So fast. Qin Feiyang muttered. It had only been 2 days since he entered the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasure, and this kid had already stepped into the 5th from the 3rd level of the Law of War. Apart from the White-Eyed Wolf's heaven-defying ability, he really couldn't think of anyone else who could match Li Feng's speed. I finally stepped into this step. Li Feng was also very excited. The difference between the Sovereign Realm and the Sovereign Realm was like heaven and earth. Only by stepping into the Sovereign Realm would one have the capital to establish a foothold in the Sky Cloud Realm. The most important thing was, after stepping into the Sovereign Realm, he was qualified to know the truth about the Blood Ancestor. The 5th level of the Law of War is just a new beginning. The next level of the Law of War is the true goal to pursue. So you can't be complacent, Qin Feiyang warned. I know. Li Feng nodded, restrained his aura, and asked Qin Dage, the Law of War seems to be very powerful. It's all right. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. All right. Li Feng was speechless and curiously asked, what abilities does the Bloodshed Domain have? There are quite a lot of abilities. First, the Bloodshed Domain can give us endless fighting spirit. Second, the Bloodshed Domain can suppress the power of the other party's law. Finally, the Bloodshed Domain can become a prison, and can also evolve some offensive methods at will. For example, the storm from before was something I evolved at will. It can be considered as both offense and defense. Qin Feiyang said. Evolve at will? Li Feng was slightly stunned and said in surprise, isn't this the same as the Law of Space's Law of War's Law of War? It's not the same. The Law of Space's Law of War's Law of War can be evolved at will, but the Law of War can only be evolved in the Bloodshed Domain. There's a big difference. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li Feng nodded and asked, then, does the suppression of the other party's Law of War also require the other party to enter the Bloodshed Domain? That's right. Moreover, this ability to suppress the power of Law of War is only effective against ordinary laws. It's meaningless against an ultimate law. Actually, the biggest advantage of the Bloodshed Domain is that it allows one to have endless fighting spirit. Compared to the 5th level Profound, it's countless times stronger. It's basically equivalent to having an immortal body. Qin Feiyang explained. Then, it seems that the ultimate law is still more powerful. Li Feng said in realization. That's of course. Otherwise, why would it be called an ultimate law? However, in my opinion, among all the laws, the Law of War is the most practical. Because in a battle, especially when facing an opponent of equal strength, the Law of War can make us invincible in a prolonged battle. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That's true. If we were to break it down, the Law of War should be a kind of support-type law. Li Feng nodded. Support type. Qin Feiyang murmured and smiled disapprovingly. In the past he also thought so. However, after fusing with the Law of War's miniature version, he faintly felt that the battle formula's ultimate law should also have unparalleled terrifying power. Of course, regardless of whether it was an offensive or support-type law, an ultimate law or an ordinary law, as long as it was an ultimate law, it would definitely be heaven-defying. Chapter 3683. High up in the sky. The battle between the two supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact-s was not over yet. The blood sword had actually wanted to escape a long time ago. After all, even the human-shaped skeleton had been killed. Unfortunately, it was entangled by Li Feng's divine artifact, and was unable to escape. A supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact was still very valuable, because there was a chance that it could evolve into a dominator divine weapon. Qin Feiyang made a move and suppressed the blood sword. At the same time, in the distance, two figures flew over. One of them looked at the place where Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were from afar and frowned. The battle fluctuations have already disappeared. I wonder who is fighting? The other person sneered. Who cares who he is as long as he is of help to us? Finished. The two of them retracted their auras and quietly sneaked over. When the two of them arrived outside the ancient city, they looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng who were standing in the air and frowned. I didn't expect my luck to be so bad. To actually meet this little bastard. I'm sure I'm a little unlucky. From the conversation between the two of them, it was obvious that they were Qin Feiyang's opponents. Moreover, he hated Qin Feiyang quite a bit. What should we do? One of them asked. The other pondered for a moment then said, Although this little bastard is very annoying, it is undeniable that he is very strong. We might as well make use of him. Use him? I'm afraid that in the end, it will be us who will be used by him. In the end, who is using who, that will depend on whose methods are more powerful. The two of them discuss for a moment before taking action. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. After suppressing the blood-red sword and forcing it to swear a blood oath, Qin Feiyang prepared to leave with Li Feng. But at this moment, a beam of sword light appeared and smashed through the sky as if it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. It then charged towards Qin Feiyang and the other man. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng raised their heads to look, and their pupils immediately shrank. This was the sword light of a Dominator divine weapon, and the aura was quite familiar. White Dragon Sword. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. He did not hesitate to take out the Death God's sword and slashed forward. That was right. This sword light came from the White Dragon clan's sovereign divine weapon, the White Dragon Sword. With a loud bang, the sword light shattered on the spot. Whoosh! Just as the sword light shattered, the two people hiding in the dark soared into the air and flew away without looking back. You came here to attack me, and now you want to leave just like that? Qin Feiyang coldly snorted. Holding the sword of the Grim Reaper, he used the space-time step and chased after him like a bolt of lightning. Who are they? Li Feng also activated his supreme-grade support divine art and chased after him. The patriarchs of the White Dragon clan and the Black Dragon clan are truly enemies on a narrow road. Qin Feiyang sneered. He had seen these two when he ambushed them at the Death Glacier. You're courting death. Killing intent flashed in Li Feng's eyes. Don't underestimate them. After all of them have grasped the 6 profound meanings in sovereign weapons. Qin Feiyang reminded. He wasn't afraid because he had the ancient castle, the Grim Reaper's sword, the 3,000 incarnations, the Eye of Heaven, and the super forbidden technique, the 9 underworld's dragon flames. But Li Feng was different. Although Li Feng was also at the perfection sovereign realm, he was still far from a supreme expert. Suddenly, the White Dragons turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, Qin Feiyang, how about we cooperate? Cooperation? Qin Feiyang was surprised. They actually proposed cooperation? However, was there a need for him to cooperate with the dragons? Besides, if they really wanted to cooperate, why would they sneak attack him? The Black Dragons also said, the Heaven Bell Divine Treasure is extremely dangerous. Even you might not be able to survive. So, if we cooperate, it will be beneficial to you and us. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, you guys stop first. Let's find a place to sit down and slowly discuss the cooperation. The White and Black Dragons looked at each other and asked, are you sure you won't attack us after we stop? I'm sure. Qin Feiyang nodded. When the two of them heard this, they really stopped. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. Holding the Death God's sword, he charged forward. Despicable person, you went back on your word. The two of them cursed and began to flee again. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Despicable person? What a joke. The people who came to sneak attack him time and time again actually had the face to call him a despicable person. Li Feng sneered and said, the dignified patriarch of the dragons actually only knows how to escape. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at if this spreads out? The two of them couldn't help but look at Li Feng, their brows slightly raised. Only now did they notice Li Feng's aura. Gathering ruthlessness, bloodthirstiness, and baleful aura in one body, he was a living devil who killed people like scything flax. Who was he? They had never seen him before. It seems that the dragons aren't much. Not to mention Big Brother Qin. Even I would be able to crush you all to death like ants. Li Feng's face was full of disdain. Arrogant. The Black Dragons were furious. Don't be impulsive, the plan is more important. The White Dragons secretly comforted him. The Black Dragons coldly snorted and stared at Li Feng. What's your name? My name is Li Feng. I am your grandfather, Li Feng. Li Feng said proudly. Good. Very good. I will remember your name. The Black Dragons smiled coldly. So what if you remember? Do you still dare to touch me? Li Feng sneered. He had always hated the dragons. Although the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm and the dragons of the ancient realm had nothing to do with each other, it still couldn't eliminate the hatred in his heart. Preposterous. This is really preposterous. Nowadays, anyone dares to ride on the head of our dragon clan and behave atrociously. The black dragons were furious. Don't worry. Let's talk about it after we get that thing. The white dragon's eyes flickered. Unknowingly, the four of them chased over a valley. When passing over the valley, a cold light flashed in the white dragon's eyes. With a wave of his hand, a divine power blasted into the valley below, and the valley was razed to the ground on the spot. Brother Qin, you guys help cover the rear. When we find reinforcements, we will come back to pick you up. Immediately after, the white dragons looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng and shouted. A wave of space-time law emerged, and the next moment, he activated momentary time and left with the black dragons like lightning. Cover the rear? Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were stunned. What did he mean? Moreover, the White Dragon clan leader had mastered the ultimate profundity of time arrays? Since he had such a method, why didn't he activate it before? Why wait until now? Boom! Just as Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were surprised, a terrifying aura suddenly emerged from the valley below. Immediately after, skeletons rushed out of the valley and stood in the void in front of Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were stunned. There were a total of 10 skeletons, and all of them were human-shaped skeletons. Moreover, just like the human-shaped skeletons they encountered in the ancient city, their bones were blood-red. So many. At this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly realized and frowned. They are using us? Use? Li Feng was surprised. That's right. They already knew that there were human-shaped skeletons here, so they deliberately lured us here. This is also the reason why they didn't activate momentary time before. Qin Feiyang nodded. The white dragons had momentary time. If they really wanted to escape, with his and Li Feng's speed, they wouldn't be able to catch up. Then why are they doing this? Li Feng was suspicious. I don't know. Maybe there are some treasures here. Qin Feiyang guessed. Treasures? Li Feng's spirit shook, but then he frowned and said, that's not right, they all have Dominator divine weapons. If there really is any treasure, they can just snatch it away. Why would they go through so much trouble to lure us here? Maybe. The real situation is not as simple as what we see now. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He looked at the 10 human-shaped skeletons and said, everyone, they are not on our side, don't be deceived by them. Do you think we are that easy to fool? I told you to cover the retreat, and you are not on the same side? The 10 human-shaped skeletons let out a shrill laugh and charged towards Qin Feiyang and Li Feng one after another. Seems that I am thinking too much. You guys don't have the ability to judge right from wrong. If that's the case, then destroy them all. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. The death god's sword tore through the sky and slashed out. Dominator divine weapon? The 10 human-shaped skeletons were shocked and decisively retreated. You want to escape in the face of a Dominator divine weapon? Li Feng's face was full of disdain. At the same time, his eyes were filled with desire. The power of law contained in the souls of the 10 human-shaped skeletons was definitely beyond imagination. However, Qin Feiyang did not chase after the 10 human-shaped skeletons. Seeing the 10 human-shaped skeletons retreat, he immediately swept up Li Feng and continued to chase in the direction of the white dragons. Why didn't you kill them? Li Feng was suspicious. I feel that this matter is not so simple. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The white and black dragons both had Dominator divine weapons, but they chose to use them to deal with the human-shaped skeletons. No matter how one looked at it, it did not seem normal. So it was best not to fight, the best plan was to retreat. Clang! But at the next moment, accompanied by 2 loud sounds, 2 sword rays shattered the ground and rushed out. What? Li Feng's expression changed. Qin Feiyang's expression also changed. Dominator divine weapons. And 2 Dominator divine weapons. There was indeed a problem. As soon as the 2 sword rays appeared, they went straight for Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. The surrounding void and earth began to collapse and sink. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. He grabbed the sword of Thanatos and slashed at the 2 sword rays. Boom! The 2 sword rays shattered. Not bad, not bad. Someone actually dares to come and offend this lord's divine might. Accompanied by 2 cold laughter, 2 battle swords appeared one after another. carrying the power to destroy the world, in front and behind Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. One was golden, as if it was made of gold. The other was silver-white, as if it was cast with silver foil, dazzling divine light. It's really two Dominator divine weapons. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. But at the next moment, their eyes shone with green light. The Skybell divine treasure indeed had a Dominator divine weapon. Moreover, as the Skybell divine treasure's Dominator divine weapon, it must be an ownerless item. Since it was an ownerless item, didn't that mean there was a chance to subdue it? No. The white and black dragons already had Dominator divine weapons. If it was really possible to subdue it, why would the two dragons give such a good opportunity to them? Without a doubt, these two were definitely difficult to chew. Chapter 3684. The Golden Battle Sword sneered. Last night, your two accomplices overestimated themselves and came over to subdue us, asking us to serve them. However, in the end, they were beaten away by us, but I didn't expect them to still not give up. A mere two humans and two divine dragons actually want our sovereign divine weapon to submit to them. They really overestimate themselves. The silver battle sword also laughed in disdain. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. It was indeed a trap. They looked in the direction where the black dragons and the white dragons had escaped. The two of them had long since disappeared. However, they dared to conclude. The two of them definitely did not leave. They must be hiding somewhere nearby, waiting for them to fight with the two sovereign divine weapons. In the end, both sides would be injured, and then they would come out and reap the benefits. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, looked at the two sovereign divine weapons and said, "You two, please believe me, we are really not in cahoots with them." Boom! However, what responded to Qin Feiyang were two sharp sword lights. Qin Feiyang waved the death god's sword, shattering the two sword lights, and said angrily, "Don't be used by them." Use? Haha. Do you really think this sovereign is stupid? We'll talk about it later. Even if you are not accomplices, as long as you are an outsider, you should be killed. The golden battle sword sneered, and immediately recovered, rushing towards Qin Feiyang. Retreat. Be careful of the sneak attacks of the black and white dragons. Qin Feiyang secretly warned Li Feng, and then resolutely rushed towards the golden battle sword, because there was no way to avoid it. Moreover, if the sovereign divine weapon was determined to kill you, then it would really be difficult for you to escape. However, he didn't really care about the two sovereign divine weapons. He was most worried about the black dragon patriarch and white dragon patriarch. The two of them were lurking in the dark, like two ticking time bombs, making people unable to feel at ease. Li Feng retreated like lightning. At this moment, of course he couldn't stay. After all, this was a battle between Dominator weapons. If he stayed, he would only become a burden to Qin Feiyang. However, at the same time, the 10 human-shaped skeletons laughed cruelly and charged towards Li Feng. Clang! The sword of the Grim Reaper and the golden battle sword collided, and a destructive aura swept out in all directions like a tide. The silver sword followed suit. Qin Feiyang and the Grim Reaper were both blasted away by the combined attacks of the two sovereign weapons. Haha, you have a Dominator weapon at such a young age. I believe your status in the outside world must be extraordinary. However, this is the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Anyone who comes here will find it hard to escape death. The two sovereign divine weapons laughed sinisterly as their divine auras flooded the area. Really? If you guys are really that powerful, then why did so many people leave the Heaven Bell divine treasury alive the last time it opened? Qin Feiyang sneered. The Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit were the ones who returned alive. With a loud clang, the ancient castle appeared and joined the death god's sword in attacking the two sovereign weapons. What? There is actually another sovereign divine weapon. The two sovereign divine weapons were shocked. Qin Feiyang also decisively left the battle and rushed towards Li Feng, because if the 10 human-shaped skeletons all mastered a supreme profound, then Li Feng would not be able to defeat them. In the distance, Li Feng and the 10 human-shaped skeletons had already started fighting. At first, the 10 human-shaped skeletons did not display any extraordinary strength, which made Li Feng think that their strength was very ordinary. However, when he thought that victory was in his hands, The 10 human-shaped skeletons all used a supreme profound. Although none of them were supreme profundities, the 10 ordinary supreme profundities were more than enough to crush him to pieces. After all, he had only grasped the supreme profundity of the law of slaughter. Seeing the 10 supreme profound coming at him and his life in danger, Qin Feiyang landed in front of Li Feng like a divine weapon descending from the heavens. He activated the supreme profound of the destruction law and crushed over. Boom! The 10 supreme profound disintegrated one after another. The supreme law is indeed different. Li Feng looked at this scene and couldn't help but be fascinated. The 10 human-shaped skeletons, on the other hand, showed signs of fear. Qin Feiyang was about to kill. But at the next moment, a fatal crisis appeared. He thought that it was the Black Dragon Clan leader and the White Dragon Clan leader who were secretly attacking, but when he turned around he realized that it was another human-shaped skeleton. He saw a human-shaped skeleton coming from behind like a ghost. And the strange thing was, the bones of this human-shaped skeleton were actually golden, and the soul of the dead in its eye sockets was also like a golden flame. "Qin, be careful," Li Feng shouted. He was originally behind Qin Feiyang. When he saw the golden human-shaped skeleton coming, he turned around without hesitation and activated the slaughter law to attack the golden human-shaped skeleton. And the golden human-shaped skeleton sneered, and a wave of death aura rolled out. Following closely, a dark red waning moon rose and blasted toward the slaughter law. With a loud bang, Li Feng's supreme profound of the slaughter law was immediately shattered in the sky without any resistance. The supreme profound of the death law. Li Feng's eyes trembled. It actually grasped the supreme profound of the supreme law. Were these really just skeletons? The waning moon shattered the sky and charged toward Li Feng. Li Feng's heart immediately surged with a sense of impending death. Boom! But at this moment Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the destruction god in the sky slapped at the waning moon. Accompanied by an earth-shattering bang, the two supreme profound collapsed in the sky at the same time. "Are you okay?" Qin Feiyang landed beside Li Feng and asked. "I'm fine." Li Feng shook his head. It was really fortunate that he met Qin when he came here. Otherwise, with his strength, he would only be courting death in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. Originally, he thought that when he broke through to the Peak Sovereign Realm, he should have no problem protecting himself. But in fact, in order to protect himself in the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, he had to grasp at least one supreme profound of the supreme law. A skeleton that grasped a supreme profound of the supreme profound. In just a few days, he encountered two sovereign divine weapons. This place was really beyond his imagination. The golden human-shaped skeleton looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, then looked at the 10 blood-red human-shaped skeletons, and said with a sinister smile, "Absorb their blood, and one of you should be able to evolve. Kill them." Boom! Hearing this, the 10 blood-red skeletons seemed to have been injected with chicken blood, as they activated their supreme profound of the supreme profound. The golden skeleton also activated the supreme profound of the death law once again. 11 supreme profound of the supreme profound charged toward Qin Feiyang and Li Feng from all directions. "Killing me is no problem, but killing Qin? What a fool's dream." Li Feng sneered. Even the supreme experts of the various forbidden zones could only flee in front of Qin, let alone a few skeletons. "Your courage is commendable." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The two supreme profound of the karma law and the destruction law appeared out of nowhere. The destruction law's supreme profound of the destruction law attacked the golden skeleton. The 10 golden lotuses formed by the karma law's supreme profound of the karma law attacked the 10 blood-red skeletons respectively. Boom! Accompanied by a series of loud sounds, the supreme profound of the supreme profound shattered in the sky, and the destructive aura swept in all directions. What? There's also the karma law's supreme profound of the karma law. The golden skeleton's expression changed, and it hurriedly abandoned the 10 blood-red skeletons and turned to flee. After witnessing Qin Feiyang's true strength, the 10 blood-red skeletons also wanted to flee, but their strength didn't allow it. The 10 golden lotuses shattered their supreme profound of the supreme profound and directly blasted toward their bodies. Following a series of miserable screams, the 10 blood-red skeletons were shattered on the spot. Seeing this, Li Feng immediately rushed up excitedly. The bloody hand between his eyebrows appeared and quickly swallowed their souls. Qin Feiyang ignored it. He used the space-time step and chased after the golden skeleton. Qin Dage, these skeletons don't seem to have a divine art. Li Feng reminded. Without a divine art, you still want to escape? Qin Feiyang stared at the golden skeleton, his eyes flashing with intense killing intent. If it had a supplementary divine art or supreme profound of the time law, it would be difficult for him to catch up to it even if he used all his strength. But without these methods it was naturally nothing to worry about. The space-time step was a supreme-grade supplementary divine art, and after being improved by the little rabbit, it had already surpassed all supplementary divine arts. It could be said that the space-time step was the most powerful supplementary divine art in the world now. In just a few blinks of an eye, Qin Feiyang caught up to the golden skeleton and stood in front of it. The golden skeleton's body was overflowing with hostility as it punched toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang didn't retreat and also punched out. Boom! The two fists collided with a loud bang. The strength of the two was completely on par. Strong indeed, Qin Feiyang muttered. The death law and destruction law were activated at the same time. Accompanied by an earth-shattering bang, the golden skeleton was shattered on the spot. Li Feng also ran over and swallowed the soul of the golden skeleton. Why aren't you attacking? What a good opportunity this is. Not far away, on a mountain top, the Black Dragon Clan leader hid behind a huge rock and asked the White Dragon Clan leader next to him through telepathy. The ancient castle and the sword of Thanatos were both entangled by the two sovereign divine weapons. Now was undoubtedly the best time to attack Qin Feiyang. Opportunity? The white dragons were slightly stunned and mocked. I think the older you get, the more muddle-headed you become. What do you mean? The black dragon's eyes flashed coldly. See for yourself. The white dragon snorted and looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng with flickering eyes. The black dragon patriarch frowned and lowered his head in silence. You don't understand? Sigh. Think about it carefully. If we attack now, won't it be the same as admitting to the two sovereign divine weapons that we're not with Qin Feiyang? Then they might join forces to deal with us. Besides, don't forget that apart from the sword of Thanatos and the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang still has 4 sovereign divine weapons. The white dragons heaved a sigh. Because the people from the Forbidden Lands had entered the Skybell divine treasure first, no one saw Qin Feiyang give the horsetail whisk, the blood dragon blade and the sovereign divine weapons of the demon palace and the heavenly palace to the mad scientist, the white-eyed wolf and Yun Xiang. They thought that Qin Feiyang still had them. Chapter 3685. The chief of the Black Dragons raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "So you're saying that we're helping them this time? That won't happen. 6 sovereign divine weapons. It won't be difficult to destroy these 2 swords, but it won't be that easy to subdue them. I believe that Qin Feiyang won't be willing to destroy these 2 sovereign divine weapons." The White Dragon clan leader transmitted his voice and acted as if everything was going according to his plan. That makes sense. The chief of the Black Dragons nodded. It would take a lot of effort to subdue a sovereign divine weapon. They couldn't fight it head-on, so they could only wait for an opportunity while Qin Feiyang was subduing the 2 sovereign divine weapons. Clang! Boom! The battle between the 4 sovereign divine weapons had reached its climax. The shockwaves from the battle were so terrifying that Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and the chief of the Black and White Dragons retreated further and further away. Strange. Why haven't we seen him take out the other sovereign divine weapons? The chief of the White Dragons frowned. Could it be that these sovereign divine weapons weren't with Qin Feiyang at all? Thinking of this, the chief of the White Dragons raised his eyebrows. He seemed to have missed something important. The Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit had entered the Skybell divine treasure before, so they were very clear about the situation there. Perhaps, before entering the Skybell divine treasure, the Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit had already told Qin Feiyang that the Skybell divine treasure was randomly teleported. Out of concern for the Golden-Winged Wolf King and the Mad Scientist, the other 4 sovereign divine weapons were given to them? That's right. That must be it. Given Qin Feiyang's personality, even if he wanted to probe the 2 sovereign divine weapons first, it was impossible for him to probe for so long. The only explanation was that he only had 2 sovereign divine weapons on him now. Thinking of this, the chief of the White Dragon's eyes flashed with killing intent. Get ready to attack and kill them. Huh. The chief of the Black Dragons was shocked. It was my fault before. I neglected some important points. The other 4 Dominator weapons should be with the Mad Scientist and the Golden-Winged Wolf King. The White Dragons transmitted their voices. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and do it. Killing intent flashed in the eyes of the Black Dragons. But the White Dragons blocked the Black Dragons. What? The Black Dragons looked at him with dissatisfaction. You're the one who said you were going to attack, and now you're the one who's going to stop me? What was he trying to do? I thought about it. That's not the right thing to do. If we attack now, even if the 2 swords know that we are not on the same side, they will definitely be angry. After all, we are using Qin Feiyang to deal with them, and we are also using them to deal with Qin Feiyang. Taking a step back, even if they don't join forces with Qin Feiyang to deal with us, they will still be wary of us. No matter what, as long as we interfere, the situation will become even more complicated. The White Dragon shook his head. Then what are you trying to do? The Black Dragons raised his eyebrows. To be safe, let's stick to the original plan. Let them both be injured first, and then we'll go out and reap the benefits. The White Dragon's eyes flashed. Okay. The Black Dragons nodded. The battle continued. For existences at the level of sovereign divine weapons, if there was no absolute suppression in numbers, it would be very difficult to determine the victor. In other words, in a situation where the numbers were equal, this was a protracted battle. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, but the 4 sovereign divine weapons had yet to determine a victor. Not only Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, but the White and Black Dragons were also starting to feel anxious. This was because the fluctuations caused by the battle between the sovereign divine weapons were too great. If there were companions nearby and they were attracted by the battle, things would be very bad. No. We have to get the White and Black Dragons to participate as well. Li Feng transmitted his voice. What's the point of getting them involved? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Rather than letting them hide in the dark and reap the benefits, it's better to take the initiative to find them. Maybe at that time we can temporarily form a cooperation and deal a heavy blow to those 2 swords. Li Feng secretly said. Rather than looking for them to cooperate, it's better to cooperate with those 2 swords. Qin Feiyang secretly laughed. Li Feng was surprised. Cooperating with the White and Black Dragons is tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin. We have to be wary of them scheming against us at all times. Moreover, even if we're stronger in the end, we'll only get those 2 swords. But if those 2 swords cooperate with us, not only will we have a chance to get rid of the White and Black Dragons, these 2 powerful enemies in the future, but we'll also have a chance to subdue the White and Black Dragons. So tell me, which one is more cost-effective? Qin Feiyang secretly said. Li Feng pondered for a while and frowned. Although what you said makes sense, those 2 swords don't trust us at all. I know. So I need to talk to them face to face. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and rushed toward the battlefield with Li Feng. What are they going to do? Seeing Qin Feiyang's actions, the Black Dragon Patriarch and White Dragon Patriarch were bewildered. Without the protection of the sovereign divine weapons, they still dared to go to the battlefield. Wasn't this courting death? Could it be that their judgment was wrong? The other 4 sovereign divine weapons were actually with Qin Feiyang? But that couldn't be right. If the 4 sovereign divine weapons were really with Qin Feiyang, there was no need for him to go to the battlefield personally. He could just let the 4 sovereign divine weapons go to help him. Castle, Sword of Thanatos, come and help me first. Qin Feiyang shouted. At the center of the battlefield. Hearing Qin Feiyang's shout, Castle of Thanatos and the Sword of Thanatos immediately shook off the 2 swords and rushed to the sky above Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. When the divine might descended, the fluctuations of the battle in the surroundings were immediately isolated. Seeing this, the White Dragon Clan leader and the Black Dragon Clan leader looked at each other and smiled bitterly. It was really a false alarm. Obviously, just as they had guessed, the other 4 sovereign divine weapons were not with them. Because if the other 4 sovereign divine weapons were with them, Qin Feiyang wouldn't have sent Castle of Thanatos and the Sword of Thanatos to protect him. Clang! Two battle swords were coming at him aggressively. Castle of Thanatos and the Sword of Thanatos now had to fight against the two swords while protecting Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. It could be said that the pressure was doubled. The two of you listen to me. We are not with those two from before. We were careless and were used by them. And now you are being used by them. Qin Feiyang transmitted. Used? The two swords were doubtful. That's right. They are dragons and I am a human. How can I be in cahoots with them? I know that what I said now is not convincing to you at all. After all, you don't know the grudge between me and them. But I really didn't lie to you. Their conspiracy is actually very simple. While we are fighting, they will come out and reap the benefits. If you don't believe me and insist on fighting with us, it will be too late for regrets. Qin Feiyang secretly transmitted his voice. Are you sure? The golden sword asked. I swear. If you really don't believe me, you might as well spend some time to put on a show with me. In the end, if what I said is true, you will cooperate with me and help me kill them. Qin Feiyang said. After killing them, you will come and kill us? Kill us one by one. This way you will be the biggest winner. Wishful thinking. The silver sword sneered. If you cooperate with me and help me get rid of them, I promise to leave immediately. As for killing you as a sovereign weapon, you shouldn't be so unconfident, right? Qin Feiyang retorted. Haha, what a good provocation. Congratulations to you for successfully provoking us. Fine, we will do as you wish and cooperate with you to finish this show. But this lord wants to tell you in advance. If in the end, the truth is not as you said, then don't blame us for being ruthless and joining hands with the dragons to get rid of you. The two swords said. It's a deal. Qin Feiyang was secretly happy. Sure enough, as long as there is a chance to communicate, anything is possible. Chapter 3686. The white dragons and black dragons were still thinking about their dreams coming true, but little did they know that a cooperation against them had already been achieved. After all, getting rid of Qin Feiyang would be a matter of fame and fortune for them. First of all, Qin Feiyang's luck was too good. Not only did he have a strong foundation, but he also had the Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit as his backers. The threat to them was too great. Secondly, the Black Tortoise world that Qin Feiyang controlled was an independent world. Who didn't desire an independent world? Before entering the Skybell Divine Treasure, the Dragon King had repeatedly told them that if they had the chance to get rid of Qin Feiyang, they could give up the castle and the Black Tortoise world, but they had to get their hands on it. Because for any race, the Black Tortoise world was a fatal temptation, and it was a sanctuary bestowed by the heavens. As long as the Black Tortoise world existed, it would ensure that they would never decline for generations to come. Clang! Boom! The battle between the four sovereign divine weapons became more and more intense. The previous 3 days and 3 nights of protracted battle seemed to be just a warm-up before the battle. The terrifying divine power destroyed everything around them. Another half a day passed. The aura of the four sovereign divine weapons was slowly weakening. This was to create the illusion that both the White Dragon Clan leader and the Black Dragon Clan leader were severely injured and were gradually weakening. Because the range of the battle between the four sovereign divine weapons was too wide, they couldn't watch the battle from a close distance. From where they were now, they couldn't see the real situation of Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and the four sovereign divine weapons. Of course, if they activated the White Dragon Sword and Black Dragon Mirror, it would naturally be a different story. With the protection of the White Dragon Sword and Black Dragon Mirror, not to mention watching the battle from a close distance, even if they were standing in the middle of the battlefield, it would be fine. However, they were worried that their whereabouts would be exposed, so they didn't dare to use the White Dragon Sword and Black Dragon Mirror. This caused them to be unable to see with their own eyes no matter how Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and the four sovereign divine weapons acted. They could only judge based on the strength of the battle. However, they also didn't expect that this was a fake show against them. After all, the battle had been going on for several days. Moreover, judging from the intensity of the battle, they were all trying to kill each other. This is the last collision. Listen to my plan. Qin Feiyang glanced in the direction of the White Dragon Patriarch and the White Dragon Patriarch. His eyes flashed as he secretly warned everyone. Very soon, the four sovereigns' divine weapons unleashed a world-destroying aura. Looks like they're already preparing for the final battle. Just you wait. Our plan will definitely succeed. The white dragons clenched their fists as they scanned the chaotic battlefield, their eyes filled with excitement and anticipation. It was the same for the black dragons. After waiting for so many days, this moment had finally arrived. Rumble. Not long after, two earth-shaking collisions rang out from the center of the battlefield. Following closely, whether it was Qin Feiyang Li Feng, or the four sovereigns' divine weapons, all of their auras rapidly weakened. Haha, did you see that? Both sides suffered. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. We, the two orioles, are the biggest winners. The white dragons laughed out loud. The white dragon sword no longer concealed itself as it flew out from his body. The black dragon mirror also appeared from the black dragons. The two sovereigns' divine weapons released their divine might, protecting the two of them as they rushed to the center of the battlefield like lightning. When they entered the center of the battlefield, they saw Qin Feiyang and Li Feng lying on a piece of broken ground. They were covered in wounds, bleeding profusely, and their qi was also destroyed. However, the castle, the death god's sword, the golden battle sword, and the silver battle sword were nowhere to be seen. What's going on? The two frowned, but very quickly, they locked onto the aura of the four sovereigns' divine weapons. The aura of the castle and the death god's sword came from the ground not far to the east. They were obviously submerged in the soil. The aura of the golden battle sword and the silver battle sword came from a broken mountain not far to the west. They were also buried in the soil and gravel. And the aura of the four sovereigns' divine weapons were already extremely weak. Without looking, they knew that they must have suffered fatal injuries. You didn't leave? Looking at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng again. Seeing the two of them appear, their expressions changed drastically. Don't you understand? This is a trap that we deliberately arranged for you. The white dragons laughed. A trap? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. I have to admit that the two of us are really lucky. The Sky Bell Divine Treasure is obviously a random teleportation mechanism, but in the end, the two of us were teleported together. Don't you think this is a blessing from the heavens? And on the second day, we encountered two sovereigns' divine weapons here. The white dragons became more and more proud. Although we are very lucky, we can't do anything in the face of two sovereigns' divine weapons. After all, we only have two sovereigns' divine weapons. I don't need to tell you the strength of the sovereigns' divine weapons. You should know very well that with the same number of sovereigns' divine weapons, there is no way to defeat them. So, after a short fight with them, we tactfully left and prepared to find other companions to subdue them. But we didn't expect to meet the two of you here. So we came up with a plan. We lured you here and let you fight with them first. When both of you are injured, we will come out and reap the benefits. The Black Dragon Patriarch chuckled. The plan was perfect. It was successful. Now it was time for them to reel in the net. Actually, your appearance is a huge accident. Of course, it is also a huge surprise. Our original goal was to subdue the two sovereigns' divine weapons here. But now we can also get rid of you, this disaster. It can be said that we are killing two birds with one stone. No. It should be said that we are killing three birds with one stone. Because we can also obtain your Black Tortoise World and the first volume of the Alchemy Scripture. The white dragons laughed unscrupulously, becoming more and more arrogant. You know that the first volume of the Alchemy Scripture is in my hands? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Of course. Revered dragon Long Chun, Long Shaoqing has been with us dragons for many years. It would be hard for us not to know. The black dragons sneered. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. Suddenly, a trace of a smile appeared on his face. He looked at the two of them and said, "So what do you plan to do with us now? Do you still need to ask this question? Don't tell me you are so stupid to think that we will still give you a chance and let you live now?" The two of them sneered. Sigh. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Who was the stupid one? They were already surrounded, but they were still so arrogant. Then he said, "Both of you, have you heard it? It's time for you to perform." Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, the white and black dragons were stunned. Perform? What did he mean? Clang! Clang! In the next moment, accompanied by four loud noises, for terrifying auras erupted. Then, the ancient castle. The sword of the Grim Reaper, the golden battle sword, and the silver battle sword rushed out from the ground like lightning and surrounded the white and black dragons. What? The two of them looked at the four sovereign divine weapons in disbelief. The reason for that was because although the four great dominator divine armaments had many wounds on their bodies, they were not affected in any way. That weakened state from before had also completely disappeared. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Li Feng got up and laughed. What's going on? The two of them glared at Qin Feiyang. Actually, I have already seen through your plan. I also know that you must be hiding in the dark and waiting for both of us to be injured before coming out to reel in the net. So, I beat them at their own game and secretly persuaded them to cooperate with us to put on this show. However, to make it more realistic, except for the shattered sea of Qi, Li Feng's and my injuries are real. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and took out 2 divine life pills. He and Li Feng consumed them separately. In other words, their sea of Qi was not shattered, but the injuries on their bodies were real. The white dragon's eyes darkened when they heard this. Do you know what your biggest mistake is? It's not because of your stupidity. It's because you were too proud and confident. You were so confident that you didn't find them and check on their injuries. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He didn't expect that the two of them would be so gullible. They casually covered them with soil and stones and changed their aura. They really thought that the 4 sovereign divine weapons were seriously injured. Bastard! The two of them roared. They were ashamed and angry. They thought that everything was under control. Little did they know that they had fallen into the other party's trap. How dare you use us? You really don't know what's good for you. With a furious roar, the golden battle sword charged toward the White Dragon Clan leader, and the White Dragon Clan leader with an earth-shattering sharpness. Go! Bai Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror saw that the situation was not good. They worked together to blast the golden battle sword away, and sent the two of them out of the encirclement. Go! Humph! It's our turn to reel in the net. Castle, help them stall Bai Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror. Sword of the Grim Reaper, follow me to kill them. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. Castle immediately joined the battlefield and charged toward Bai Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror. The silver battle sword and the golden battle sword that had been blasted away also charged toward the 2 sovereign divine weapons. In fact, there was no need for the sword of the Grim Reaper to help the white and black dragons. But the white dragons had mastered the supreme profound of the time laws. With his and Li Feng's speed, they couldn't catch up. So they needed the sword of the Grim Reaper to help intercept them. Sure enough, after being sent out of the encirclement by Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror, the white dragons immediately activated momentary time, and fled crazily with the black dragons. If they stayed now, they would drag Bai Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror down. On the contrary, as long as they could escape first, Bai Longjian and Black Dragon Mirror would have no worries. At that time, they might be able to find an opportunity to escape. Clang! However, momentary time was not invincible in front of the sovereign divine weapon. The sovereign divine weapon was not only strong, but also faster than all living creatures. Unless you mastered the ultimate profound, you were not qualified to fight against them. Chapter 3687. Clang! After leaving the ancient castle and the battlefield of the 5 sovereign weapons, the sword of the Grim Reaper decisively took action, bringing Qin Feiyang and Li Feng to block in front of the two. The terrifying sword Qi was like a tide, covering the sky and covering the earth as it rushed towards the two people. Divine Dragon Domain. The two of them were scared out of their wits as they activated their super forbidden technique. The power of the divine dragon emerged and condensed into a barrier that was dozens of feet wide. It flickered with sacred light, and there were dragon shadows roaring on it. This is the super forbidden technique of the dragons? Qin Feiyang sized up the barrier. From the aura, it was indeed stronger than the golden dragon domain and the fire dragon domain that he had seen before. However, even he had the ability to break a super forbidden technique, let alone a sovereign weapon. Everything was just a futile struggle. Boom! The sword Qi enveloped. The so-called super forbidden technique was like a withered tree that couldn't withstand a single blow, and was directly shattered. At the critical moment of life and death, the two of them returned to their original form. A white dragon and a black dragon appeared out of nowhere. Their bodies were covered with millstone-sized scales that were as hard as steel. But under the sword chi of the sword of the Grim Reaper, they still couldn't resist. Dragon scales continued to shatter, and dragon blood dyed the sky red. Clang! Two supreme-level heaven-defying armors appeared on their bodies, but they still couldn't resist and were instantly shattered. This was the strength of a sovereign weapon, crushing everything. In the end, accompanied by a scream, the two of them were cut down by the sword chi, breaking into dozens of pieces. Blood stained the surroundings, and their chi si was also shattered. They lay in a pool of blood on the verge of death, their eyes filled with despair. Powerful. Li Feng's heart trembled. Even a super-strong warrior didn't have the slightest strength to resist. A sovereign weapon was indeed an invincible existence. I'll leave the rest to you. After the sword of the Grim Reaper heavily injured the two dragons, it left behind a sentence and prepared to go support the ancient castle. But at this moment, a golden figure came from afar like lightning. Big brother? Save us! The Black Dragon Patriarch and White Dragon Patriarch looked up and were overjoyed. Golden dragons. In the meantime, Qin Feiyong raised an eyebrow as he turned toward the sword of the Grim Reaper. He has the golden dragon spear, so it looks like you won't be able to reinforce the castle. Who would have thought that the golden dragons would appear out of nowhere? Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. He bumped into the 3 clan leaders of the dragons. That's not a big deal. Leave the golden dragon spear to me, and I'll leave the golden dragons to you. Are you confident? The Grim Reaper's sword said. Of course. Qin Feiyong nodded. All right. Let's end this quickly. After saying that, the sword of the Thanatos immediately charged towards the golden dragons. At the same time, hearing the Black Dragon Patriarch and White Dragon Patriarch's cries for help, the Golden Dragon Patriarch was slightly stunned. Previously, he had sensed the battle aura of the White Dragon Sword and the Black Dragon Mirror, which was why he had come here to investigate. However, he did not expect that. To think that he would see such a scene. As the 2 clan leaders of the dragons, they had actually fallen to such a state? When he looked at Qin Feiyong and the sword of the Thanatos, his face immediately darkened. So it was this little bastard. Golden Dragon Spear. With a loud roar from the gold dragons, the Golden Dragon Spear appeared with a loud clanging sound. It carried a dazzling divine light as it charged towards the sword of the Thanatos. You probably don't want our battle to affect them, right? The sword of the Thanatos sneered and immediately rushed into the distance. The Golden Dragon Spear hesitated for a moment before chasing after the sword of the Thanatos. Indeed, if they were to fight here, not only Qin Feiyong and Li Feng, but even the gold dragons would be affected by the battle. At that time, before they could determine the winner, their masters had already lost their lives. Qin Feiyong, you're really like a ghost that won't go away. The Golden Dragon Patriarch arrived above the Black Dragon Patriarch and White Dragon Patriarch at lightning speed and glared at Qin Feiyong. I should be the one saying that, Qin Feiyong said. The Black Dragon shouted, Big brother, don't worry about me, quickly save us. The gold dragons were the eldest. Therefore, the other 9 clan leaders all called him Big brother. Of course, this was also because they had to ask the gold dragons for help. Otherwise, with the selfishness of the dragons, who would care about each other? Save? Li Feng looked at the 2 of them with disdain and said, How do you want him to save you? Even if he gives you 10 pills with dragon-shaped core energy, it will take time to recover. By the time you've recovered your energy C and injuries, the battle will have already ended. Haha, a brat still wet behind the ears dares to openly mock us? The 2 of them laughed. The gold dragons also pursed their lips with a hint of mockery. Boom! The next moment, a majestic life force emerged, drowning the black and white dragons like a tide. This is the law of life. Li Feng was dumbfounded. He didn't expect this gold dragons to have mastered the law of life. Moreover, with his status and strength among the dragons, he didn't need to judge to know that the law of life had definitely reached the level of the supreme profound meaning. He had personally experienced the healing ability of the law of life. Compared to pills who knew how many times stronger. Could be said that, in this world, no pill could compare to the law of life. We can't let the white dragons recover from their injuries. Otherwise, if we activate the momentary time, none of us will be able to hold them back. Activate your supreme profound meaning of the law of slaughter. Qin Feiyang's gaze also darkened slightly. Without holding back, the 3,000 incarnations were activated. The most important thing was, previously, without the golden dragon spear, the battle between the ancient castle and the dominator divine weapons was a 2 versus 4 situation. In such a situation, as long as the golden and silver battle swords fought with their lives on the line, coupled with the ancient castle and the death god sword, there was a high chance that they could keep the white dragon sword and the black dragon mirror. But now, with the golden dragon spear attacking, it was a 3 versus 4 situation. With just a difference of 1 dominator divine weapon, there was no way to achieve absolute suppression. Naturally, it was difficult to keep the white dragon sword and the black dragon mirror. So, no matter what, they had to keep these 3 people. As long as they kept these 3 people, it was equivalent to keeping the 3 dominator divine weapons, the black dragon mirror. As long as they kept these 3 dominator divine weapons, in a 4 versus 3 situation, they would win sooner or later. Needless to say, the ancient castle and the death god sword would definitely go all out. So now, it was up to the golden and silver battle swords to see if they were willing to go all out. If at this time, the golden and silver battle swords suddenly withdrew from the battlefield, then the situation would be reversed, and they would be in a passive position. And at the moment there were also many uncertain factors. For example, were there other dragons nearby? Or the Feng people? Or the Kirin clan? No matter which race they were from, as long as they appeared here, it was very bad news for him. Of course, could also be his people. For example, the white-eyed wolf, the madman, or the various beast emperors of the heavenly clouds sea, and the black-clothed middle-aged man in the land of the buried gods. Once these people appeared, it would naturally be a good thing for him. But now, these were all uncertain factors, so he still had to rely on himself. Boom! In the blink of an eye, 3,000 incarnations appeared, and they immediately activated the karma law and the destruction law. 3,000 incarnations were equivalent to 6,000 profound meanings. How vast and shocking was the momentum! Even though the golden dragons had grasped the life law, he couldn't help but feel guilty. Because this was no longer a one-on-one battle, but a battle of 1 against 3,000. 3,000 incarnations, that was equivalent to 3,000 Qin Feiyangs. As for him, although he had grasped 6 profound meanings, he was just one person. It was a completely one-sided situation. Kill! The 3,000 incarnations battle cries shook the sky. 6,000 ultimate profound meanings, carrying a world-destroying divine might, shattered the sky for hundreds of millions of miles and charged toward the Golden Dragon clan leader. Damn it! The Golden Dragons cursed and activated the super forbidden technique, Divine Dragon's domain without hesitation. Boom! 6,000 profound meanings attacked. And the Divine Dragon's domain didn't even last half a breath before shattering on the spot. Super forbidden techniques weren't invincible, and there was a limit. Others might be helpless against the super forbidden techniques of the 3 races, but in front of Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations, they couldn't even withstand a single blow. After all, Qin Feiyang had already stepped into the sovereign realm. The difference in cultivation no longer existed. If it were in the past when he was a sovereign, even with 3,000 incarnations, he wouldn't be able to break through the super forbidden technique. As the Divine Dragon's domain shattered, not only the golden dragons, but even the white and black dragons, whose sea of qi had almost recovered, were instantly drowned by the 6,000 profound meanings. Roar! Miserable cries rang out. Qin Feiyang once again witnessed the strength of the life law. Even with 6,000 profound meanings, he couldn't immediately kill the 3 of them. Li Feng was even more dumbfounded. Although he already had a good understanding of the various laws, this was his first time seeing the life law with his own eyes. This healing ability was definitely the strongest in the world, and there was no other. Hold on. There are 2 patriarchs nearby. They will rush over in a while. The Golden Dragon Patriarch's eyes flashed. He suddenly looked at the White Dragon Patriarch and Black Dragon Patriarch and shouted, "What? Ancestors?" When Qin Feiyang heard this, his gaze trembled slightly, and the 10 unfamiliar faces of the dragons involuntarily appeared in his mind. At that time, the Fire Qilin and Tan Wu had said that the unfamiliar faces of the three forbidden areas were all old antiques who had been in seclusion. It was possible that each of them had grasped an ultimate profound meaning. Although it wouldn't be the ultimate profound meaning of an ultimate law. This was very easy to determine, because the little rabbit had long said that supreme existences who had grasped the ultimate profound meaning of an ultimate law were restricted from entering the Sky Bell divine treasure. Therefore, among the people who entered this time, no matter which side they were from, there wouldn't be anyone who had grasped the ultimate profound meaning of an ultimate law. However, even if it was an ordinary ultimate law, it would be easy to instantly kill him and Li Feng. Moreover, they were two ancestors. If they really grasped the ultimate profound meaning, wouldn't they be doomed? Really? At the same time, the Black Dragon Patriarch and White Dragon Patriarch were also shocked. And, as early as yesterday, I already met them. The Golden Dragons nodded. This was great news for the Black Dragon Patriarch and the White Dragon Patriarch. Li Feng asked through voice transmission, Qin Dage, could he be scaring us? Scaring? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned, and his eyes flashed. He looked at the Golden Dragons and sneered. Since you already met yesterday, why didn't they come together? That's right. Why didn't they come together? The Black and White Dragons also looked at the Golden Dragons suspiciously. You think I'm scaring you? Haha, what a joke. The Golden Dragon Patriarch looked at Qin Feiyong and Li Feng and sneered. He said, they didn't come together because we also sensed the ripples of battle outside. So we split up to check it out. Chapter 3688. I see. Qin Feiyong nodded in realization. He had already concluded in his heart that this person was just scaring them. Let's not talk about anything else first. They had been fighting here for 3 days and 3 nights. And it was already the 4th day. Half of the 4th day had already passed. The battle of the 4 sovereign divine weapons had caused a huge commotion. If there were really people fighting on the other side, they would have already been alerted. Moreover, if there were really 2 ancestors, why would the Golden Dragons say it in front of him? After all, this was a huge advantage for them. There was no reason for him to do so. Anyone with a bit of intelligence would know that he would hide it from the other side first and wait for the 2 ancestors to come. When the other side was caught off guard, wouldn't that be a sure-win situation? But now, the Golden Dragons didn't mince words and didn't hide anything. What did this mean? It meant that he was scaring them and telling them to run for their lives. Still not running? Seems like you really want to die. The Golden Dragons sneered. Haha, your acting skills are not bad. But let me give you a piece of advice. Don't treat others as fools. Qin Feiyong sneered. The 3,000 incarnations once again activated the ultimacy. And this time they activated the ultimacy of the Thunder Law and the War Law. What? He has already comprehended the ultimacy of the War Law. The Golden Dragon's trio's eyes trembled. What kind of monster was this? How long had it been since they last saw each other? He had actually comprehended another ultimacy. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before this lad could catch up with them, the supreme experts. Now, they were already no match for Qin Feiyong. When Qin Feiyong also became a supreme expert, wouldn't they be even more vulnerable? It was hard to imagine how this little bastard did it. In these short years, not only did he step into the sovereign great perfection from the undead realm, but he also comprehended 2 ultimacies of the Thunder Law and the War Law. This kind of growth speed was simply unprecedented in the past and would never be surpassed in the future. The next time you want to scare someone, please use your brain first. Don't end up embarrassing yourself like a clown. You'll only embarrass yourself. Qin Feiyong sneered. Instantly, his 4 profound meanings shot towards the 3 of them. Are you really trying to scare him? The White Dragon and Black Dragon Patriarchs frowned. Why are you still concerned about this now? The chief of the Golden Dragons shouted angrily. When the 2 heard this, their hearts sank. It was obvious that he was trying to scare Qin Feiyong. It was fine if he succeeded. But now he didn't scare the other party at all. At this point, they had no choice but to admit that this was a terrifying young man. Even at such a time, he could still maintain such a calm mind and calmly analyze and judge the truth of the other party's words. If it were anyone else, upon hearing that there were 2 patriarchs, They would have panicked and their first thought would be to escape immediately. In the past, without facing him head-on, they still felt that the rumors about Qin Feiyong outside were exaggerated. But now he finally understood it completely. This was an extremely terrifying, extremely dangerous, and extremely difficult enemy to deal with. That's right. At this moment, they no longer treated Qin Feiyong as a junior. Instead, they treated him as a real strong enemy, an opponent on the same level as them. Of course. Right now they didn't have the guts to still treat Qin Feiyong as a junior. But it seems that you don't have the chance to scare others anymore. As Qin Feiyong's voice fell, the 3,000 clones activated the super forbidden technique. 9 underworld dragon flames. Super forbidden technique. The 3 of them trembled. Not only my super forbidden technique, but also your super forbidden technique, divine dragon domain. This time you won't be able to escape, Qin Feiyong shouted. The 3,000 clones activated the Eye of Heaven and replicated the divine dragon domain. The super forbidden technique of the dragon's divine dragon domain was the same as the Qilin clan's super forbidden technique, Qilin god domain. Not only did it have an extremely strong defense, but it also had an extremely shocking lethality. 6,000 supreme laws of paramount profound truths, 6,000 ordinary laws of supreme profound meanings, 3,009 underworld dragon flames, and 3,000 divine dragon domains. Moreover, whether it was the various supreme laws, 9 underworld dragon flames or divine dragon domain, they were all the most powerful means under the sovereign weapon and ultimate profound. Not to mention the opponent, even Li Feng, who was standing beside Qin Feiyong, couldn't help but tremble in fear when he saw such means. The rumors were true. In today's Sky Cloud realm, except for the Dragon King and the other lords of Forbidden Zones, no one was Qin Dage's opponent. Die. Qin Feiyong smiled coldly. All the supreme profound skills and super forbidden techniques flooded toward the 3 of them like a tide. Qin Feiyong, you won't have a good death. Let me tell you, don't even think about leaving the Skybell divine treasure alive. This is the place where your gods are buried. Explode! The 3 of them roared furiously one after another. Their huge divine dragon bodies exploded in the void immediately. Waves of destructive energy swept out in all directions like raging waves in the ocean. Self-destruct? Qin Feiyong and Li Feng's expressions changed drastically. They never thought that the 3 of them would self-destruct so decisively. Please. Qin Feiyong looked at the 3,000 incarnations and immediately took Li Feng with him. They used the spacetime step, turned around and flew away at lightning speed. Boom! The 3,000 incarnations attacked at the same time, and the power of laws roared out, forming a barrier that was as tall as the sky and blocked the explosion. Qin Dage. They're actually willing to self-destruct. Could it be that they left their divine souls outside? Li Feng was surprised. Obviously. Qin Feiyong was furious. After all, they were all formidable characters. Why were they so afraid of death? But there was nothing he could do. If the other party wanted to leave their divine souls outside, what could he do? He couldn't order them not to. Besides, no one would listen to his orders. He could only say that it was a waste of effort. No, it wasn't a waste of effort. There was also the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear. Qin Feiyong roared at the top of his lungs, ancient castle, sword of the grim reaper. Don't let the white dragon sword and the others escape. At the same time, with a heaven-shaking explosion, the barrier condensed from the power of laws by the 3,000 incarnations collapsed. It had to be said. The power of the self-destruction of a supreme expert could be described as devastating. It was countless times more terrifying than a super forbidden technique. Even the 3,000 incarnations couldn't stop it, and were instantly turned into ashes. Fortunately, the 3,000 incarnations also helped Qin Feiyong and Li Feng stall for some time. Now that they had already escaped to a safe area, they turned around and looked at the apocalyptic scene. The 2 of them couldn't help but sweat profusely. In the future, when facing a supreme expert, they must not give the other party the chance to self-destruct. Otherwise, they would end up in mutual destruction. Clang! At this moment, the sword of the Grim Reaper flew above Qin Feiyong, swept up Qin Feiyong and Li Feng, and rushed to the battlefield where the ancient castle was located. Where's the golden dragon spear? Qin Feiyong asked. Don't think about subduing all of them at once. If the three sovereign divine weapons really want to fight with us, even if we keep them, we will have to pay a heavy price. Moreover, those two swords are still an uncertain factor. What if they suddenly betray us? So, instead of drawing water with a bamboo basket, it's better to take a step back and meet up with the ancient castle first. For the time being, we can subdue the white dragon sword or the black dragon mirror. The sword of the Grim Reaper said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's heart trembled, and he apologized. I'm sorry, I was too anxious. It's fine. Actually, I know what you mean. As long as we subdue the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror, these three sovereign divine weapons, we will have the ability to truly contend against the dragons in the future. But you have to remember, there are some things that cannot be rushed. Especially when facing the sovereign divine weapons, if we are not careful, not only might we not be able to subdue them, we might even cause ourselves to fall into a state of eternal damnation. The sword of the Grim Reaper warned. Qin Feiyang nodded. In any case, he had a full 1,000 years in the heavenly bell divine treasure, so he could take it slow. While they were talking, the sword of the Grim Reaper brought Qin Feiyang and Li Feng back to the battlefield where the ancient castle was located. The black dragon mirror and white dragon sword had already sensed the self-destruction of the three dragons, and were trying their best to break out of the encirclement. It was really as the sword of the Grim Reaper had said. The two sovereign divine weapons were ruthless, and the ancient castle, the golden battle sword, and the silver battle sword were already showing signs of being unable to stop them. The sword of the Grim Reaper secretly shouted, Ancient castle, let the black dragon mirror go. Subdue the white dragon sword first. At the same time, the sword of the Grim Reaper condensed a barrier, protecting Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, and then directly charged into the battlefield, targeting the white dragon sword. Who was the ancient castle? Hearing the words of the sword of the Grim Reaper, they understood the purpose of the sword of the Grim Reaper. Immediately, it ignored the black dragon mirror and charged towards the white dragon sword. What's going on? Seeing the black dragon mirror take the opportunity to escape, and the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper did not stop them, the golden and silver battle swords could not help but be stunned. But soon, they understood the meaning of the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper. You want to use us to subdue this sovereign divine weapon? Do you really think we're free fighters? The two sovereign divine weapons were immediately dissatisfied. Whether it was the dragons from before or this human brat, they were all sinister fellows. Qin Feiyang sensed that something was wrong, and immediately shouted, Seniors, I don't ask for your help, but I beg you not to interfere. After this junior will definitely thank you greatly. Sure enough, there were two uncertain factors. If at this time the two swords really wanted to interfere, then it would really be like using a wicker basket to draw water. Thank you greatly? What kind of treasure do you think you have that can enter the eyes of our dignified sovereign divine weapon? The golden and silver battle swords retreated from the battlefield, their tone filled with contempt. Only the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper remained on the battlefield, firmly entangling the white dragon sword. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang realized that the golden dragon spear and the black dragon mirror had not really left. They were watching the battlefield from afar, as if they were looking for an opportunity to rescue the white dragon sword. The position of the two swords was unknown. The golden dragon spear and the black dragon mirror were hiding in the distance, eyeing them covetously. This caused the situation to become delicate. In short, the biggest trouble had come. Chapter 3689. Facing the questions thrown by the two swords, Qin Feiyang really had no way to answer, because he couldn't think of anything that could catch the eye of the sovereign divine weapon. In the past, when he subdued the horsetail whisk and the blood dragon blade, he had forced them to swear a blood oath. But now, the conditions didn't allow it. First of all, strength. He was unable to open the slaughter domain, so he lacked a method to threaten the sovereign divine weapon. The blood dragon blade, the horsetail whisk, and the sovereign divine weapon of the demon palace and the heavenly palace were all in the hands of the madman, the white-eyed wolf and Yun Xiang. If the madman, the white-eyed wolf, Yun Xiang, and the Master Jura had already come to meet them, it would be easy to deal with them and directly use force. But now, He only had the sword of the Reaper and the castle, the two sovereign divine weapons. Secondly, there were the conditions. The black dragon mirror and the golden dragon spear were eyeing him covetously from the side, obviously not wanting to let him do as he wished. So, could he subdue the white dragon sword now? It should be said that whether or not there was a chance to subdue the white dragon sword now depended entirely on the will of these two swords. Actually, this wasn't the thing that worried him the most. What he was most worried about was that if these two swords changed sides and joined forces with the white dragon sword and the other two sovereign divine weapons to deal with them, then the situation would be precarious. After all, at that time it would be a 5 against 2 situation. 5 against 2, the castle and the sword of the Reaper had to protect themselves while taking care of him and Li Feng at the same time. Tell us, how do you want to bribe us? Our appetite is not ordinary. If you can't satisfy us, I'm afraid you will follow in the footsteps of the dragons and the other two. The threat of the golden and silver swords was no longer concealed. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. You don't want to listen to my kind words, do you? Do you want to force me to fall out with you? Fine. At most I'll compromise now. After I meet up with everyone, I'll slowly settle the score with you. Qin Feiyang made a prompt decision and sent a sound transmission to the sword of the Reaper and the castle. Prepare to retreat. Although he was extremely unwilling, for everyone's safety he had to do this. He could ignore his own life, but he could not ignore the castle and the sword of the Reaper. Especially the ancient castle. It had been helping him all these years. He couldn't let anything happen to it. All right. The two sovereigns' divine weapons replied. In fact, they also had the idea of retreating temporarily. The current situation was too passive, but out of consideration for Qin Feiyang they did not mention it. Because they knew Qin Feiyang too well. After putting in so much effort, he ended up with nothing. He must be feeling terrible. This was true love. While Qin Feiyang was thinking about them, they were also thinking about Qin Feiyang's feelings. Only the white dragon sword was fighting against the castle and the sword of the Thanatos. Therefore, it was easy for the castle and the sword of the Thanatos to leave. Boom! The two sovereign divine weapons shook off the white dragon sword and instantly arrived in front of Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. Then they took the two of them away without looking back. This sudden turn of events not only stunned the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, but even the two swords were caught off guard. When they came back to their senses, the white dragon sword immediately rushed to meet up with the black dragon mirror and the golden dragon spear. You want to leave? The golden and silver swords seemed to be angry when they came back to their senses. They immediately chased after Qin Feiyang and the others. What should we do? The black dragon mirror asked. The golden dragon spear pondered for a moment and said, this might be a good opportunity. Let's follow them. Whoosh! The three sovereign divine weapons also chased after them. Li Feng turned around and saw the 5 sovereign divine weapons chasing after him. His face was filled with surprise and he said, are they going to team up again? These two uncertain factors are really troublesome. Qin Feiyang was furious. If it were the blood dragon blade, the horsetail whisk, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, the 3 sovereign divine weapons, they would not be able to escape from him. He would settle this score with them sooner or later. An hour later, the 5 sovereign divine weapons were still chasing after them. They were all sovereign divine weapons, so their speed was about the same. The ancient castle and the Grim Reaper's sword could not shake off the 5 sovereign divine weapons. The 5 sovereign divine weapons could not catch up to them. However, they could not keep chasing like this. After all, there were other dangers in the Skybell divine treasure. If they encountered the dragons, the Feng people, or the Kirin clan, they would not be able to escape. Even if we encounter people, we hope to meet our allies. The Grim Reaper's sword sighed. If the other party wanted to keep chasing, they could not do anything. If they stopped now, they might face the danger of the 5 sovereign divine weapons joining forces. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. Along the way, they did not encounter the dragons, the Feng people, or the Kirin clan. They did not encounter the heavenly cloud sea, the beast emperors, or the divine beasts of the land of buried gods. They survived the day without any danger. As for the human-shaped skeletons and ferocious beast skeletons, they encountered many of them. However, in the face of the sovereign divine weapons, they were not qualified to interfere. They could not even get close to Qin Feiyang and the others. In the evening, the sky darkened. The heavenly bell divine treasure gradually sank into deep darkness. When the castle and the Grim Reaper's sword took Qin Feiyang and fled to the sky above a lake, a strong sense of uneasiness suddenly rose in their hearts. However, they were not sure where this uneasiness came from. The lake was hundreds of thousands of miles long like a vast sea. The lake water was a strange dark green. Around the lake, there were endless towering mountains, but it was no different from other places. It was incomparably dilapidated and desolate. Haha, you actually fled here, aren't you courting death? Behind, the golden and silver swords laughed. Hearing this, not only Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, but also the castle, the Grim Reaper's sword, and the White Dragon sword, the three sovereign divine weapons, could not help but be surprised. Old devil, help us stop the two humans in front. The golden sword roared. Crash. In the center of the lake below, a wave suddenly rose. A dark green light rushed out of the lake and blocked in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. Waves of divine power rushed toward Qin Feiyang and the others. What? Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. Another sovereign-level divine weapon. Could it be that these sovereign divine weapons were the ones controlling the Sky Bell divine treasure? It was a square cauldron. It was dark green all over, about the size of a palm, and there were ghost-like heads engraved on all four sides, exuding a terrifying cold aura. Humans. It seems that the divine treasure has been opened. The green cauldron let out a hoarse voice and immediately turned into a giant cauldron, exuding a ferocious power that could destroy heaven and earth. Kill it. The Grim Reaper's sword roared. Boom! The castle and the Grim Reaper's sword erupted with monstrous power and blasted toward the green cauldron. With a loud clang, the green cauldron was successfully sent flying. But at the same time, the castle and the Grim Reaper's sword paused for a moment. It was also during this pause that the five sovereign divine weapons, the golden sword, the silver sword, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, caught up and stopped Qin Feiyang and the others. From the looks of it, they really want to join forces. Li Feng glanced at the five sovereign divine weapons, his face slightly pale. Now, with the addition of the green cauldron, there were 6 sovereign divine weapons. How could they fight this? It was over. Run. Continue. Let's see where you can run to. The golden sword snickered. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened slightly. These 2 sovereign divine weapons were really annoying. But suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. The 2 swords didn't know him well, but the white dragon sword, the 3 sovereign divine weapons, knew him well. Instead of trying to persuade these 2 swords, it was better to persuade the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear. As long as he could persuade these 3 sovereign divine weapons, he could naturally turn defeat into victory. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. White dragon sword, black dragon mirror, golden dragon spear, can you listen to me? Why don't we join forces and suppress them first? What? Now that you have no way out, you're asking for help from us. Didn't you want to subdue us yesterday? The white dragon sword sneered. Back then in the Een Devil land, it had been played around with by Qin Feiyang. It had never forgotten this humiliation. Actually, you don't have to hate me like this. Because my enemy is the dragons, not you. We can be friends who can rely on each other and fight side by side. They don't know what kind of person I, Qin Feiyang, am, but don't you know? To friends, to comrades, I can protect them at all costs. Look at the blood dragon blade, look at the horsetail whisk, how good are we now? I respect them and they respect me. But what about the dragons? What can they give you? They can't give you anything. Instead, they only know how to ask from you. Because you are sovereign divine weapons and have invincible fighting strength, they only want to display your value. Once you lose your value, you will inevitably become cannon fodder in their hands. In other words, they are only using you and have no feelings for you at all. For example, the blood dragon blade. Back in the Sea of Heavenly Clouds, when the Dragon King asked me to hand over the blood dragon blade, I found that the Dragon King already wanted to kill the blood dragon blade. But I'm different. I sincerely respect you. It's also because of this that I risked defending the Dragon King to protect the blood dragon blade. Qin Feiyang sighed. The 3 sovereign divine weapons fell silent. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang struck while the iron was hot and continued to persuade them secretly. If you choose me now, I promise that you will never regret your choice today. I will use practical actions to prove my sincerity and determination to you. Moreover, you know that I have an independent world. Tell me the truth. In the future, the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan may not be stronger than me. We humans have a famous saying that a good bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Think about it carefully. Between me and the dragons, who is the good tree that you need the most? Qin Feiyang tried his best to persuade him, and his words were filled with confidence. For him, surpassing the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan was only a matter of time. Chapter 3690. Are you sure you are talented? However, this will have to wait until you have fully grown up. The black dragon mirror sneered. My current strength is obvious to all of you. Apart from you sovereign divine weapons, there is also Dragon King and Feng Ho. Who is my opponent? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. You underestimate the heritage of the Forbidden Zones too much. If it weren't for the Dominator weapons in the castle helping you, any expert from the Forbidden Lands who grasped the ultimate profound would be able to kill you instantly. If you want to truly have a place in the Sky Cloud realm, you can only become an existence like Dragon King and the others. The golden dragon spear coldly snorted. I know. I also believe that I can do it, Qin Feiyang said firmly. The three sovereign divine weapons fell silent again. According to the current situation, Qin Feiyang indeed has the potential. However, it is really hard to say what will happen in the future. If they choose Qin Feiyang now, it is tantamount to betraying the Dragon King. If in the future, Qin Feiyang accidentally dies, then who can they find to reason with? The Dragon King will definitely not let them go at that time. In other words, this is a bet. They don't dare to gamble, nor can they afford to gamble. Why are you so quiet? Where is the arrogance from before? The two sovereign divine swords looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, their words full of ridicule. Qin Feiyang looked at the two sovereign divine swords, then looked at the green cauldron. His eyes sank slightly, and suddenly looked at the white dragon sword and the three sovereign divine swords. A drop of blood essence broke out of his body. What are you doing? The six sovereign divine weapons looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. I, Qin Feiyang, make a blood oath. If today you choose me, Qin Feiyang, I, Qin Feiyang, will protect you with my life. I will never betray you, never abandon you, and share honor and disgrace with you. Qin Feiyang shouted. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Three oaths descended from the sky, but they did not enter Qin Feiyang's body. This was because the white dragon sword, one of the three sovereign divine weapons, had not agreed to choose Qin Feiyang. As long as they agreed, the blood oath would be considered complete. This is. The hearts of the three sovereign divine weapons trembled. I believe that all of you should be familiar with the blood oath by now. Once an oath is made, it can never be broken. This is my sincerity, my determination. I, Qin Feiyang, am willing to live and die with you. If I violate this oath, I will be punished by the heavens. Qin Feiyang spoke word by word. His voice was sonorous and forceful. He stared at the three sovereign divine weapons and roared. Is this not enough to move you? Every word was like a bolt of lightning that struck the minds of the three sovereign divine weapons, causing them to struggle in their hearts. It had always been them who used their own lives to protect others. They had always been the only ones who were betrayed and abandoned by humans after losing their value. But now, there was a human who was willing to protect them with his life, and he would never betray them, never abandon them, and live and die with them. He had even made a blood oath. As sovereign divine weapons, they had eternal lifespan. But in this eternity, this was the first time they truly felt a person's sincerity and affection. This feeling of being cared for, being protected, being treated as a comrade, and being treated as a comrade was very warm. So he was secretly persuading them to surrender. Good, good, good. Humans are indeed insidious and cunning. The golden sword and the silver sword also finally came to a realization. Divine might surged forth as they roared. Old devil, lend us a hand. As their voices fell, they immediately charged toward Qin Feiyang and the others. With a loud clang, the green cauldron also joined the battle and charged toward the castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper. It seems that we can only fight to the death. The castle took a deep breath. Then let's fight. As long as it is vigorous, what is there to be afraid of? The sword of the Grim Reaper laughed loudly. Boom! The castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper left behind a barrier and charged toward the three sovereign divine weapons. As long as it is vigorous, what is there to be afraid of? The three sovereign divine weapons murmured. It seemed that in these endless years, they had gradually lost their courage and fighting spirit. As sovereign divine weapons, the strongest existences in the world, they did not even have this courage? Wasn't this a joke? Okay. I promise you. In the future we will live and die together, sharing honor and disgrace. The Black Dragon Mirror said. As his voice fell, one of the seals was completed and merged into Qin Feiyang's body. You, the White Dragon Sword and the Golden Dragon Spear were shocked. He actually chose Qin Feiyang? He has a point. In the Dragon Clan, their demands and our sacrifices are taken for granted. They have never really thought about us. They have never respected our wishes. Now that someone has made such an oath, what is there to hesitate about? As for what will happen in the future, I dare not say. But at least for now, my heart is very warm and touched. After saying this, the Black Dragon Sword also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng before immediately joining the battle. The situation was instantly evened out. 3-on-3. The pressure on the castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper was greatly reduced. Warm and touched, indeed. I have never felt this way before. Now that I have, why should I resist? The Golden Dragon Spear laughed out loud and shouted, Qin Feiyang, this sovereign also agrees to your request. However, you must remember today's blood oath. If there comes a day when you do something that lets this sovereign down, this sovereign will definitely not let you off easily. The second seal was completed. A smile appeared on Qin Feiyang's face. He looked at the Golden Dragon Spear and said, if I really do something to betray you, the blood oath will erase me. I feel much better now. Then let's kill the enemies. The Golden Dragon Spear let out a heroic laugh and also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng before immediately joining the battle. 4-on-3. The balanced situation was immediately reversed. What do you think? Qin Feiyang looked at Bai Longjian. Bai Longjian snorted coldly. You should know how much I hate you, right? I know. But at that time in the Devil Land facing your pursuit, I definitely had to think of a way to escape. I couldn't just stand there and let you kill me. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Bai Longjian remained silent. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and bowed. I, Qin Feiyang, rarely bow my head. Today, I will take the initiative to bow my head to you. Please forgive my previous offense. Looking at this scene, Bai Longjian's expression did not change, but no one knew what was going on in his heart. Anyway, he was still silent. I have seen the prince of the White Dragon Clan. The patriarch of the White Dragon Clan was forced by me to self-destruct. May I ask? Don't you feel wrong to work for them? I know. This is the Dragon King's order. You have no choice but to listen. But doesn't this reflect that the Dragon King has never regarded the true value of your Dominator divine weapons from the beginning to the end? I think that in his eyes, the significance of your Dominator divine weapons is nothing more than a sharp blade in the hands of the dragons. Think about it. Will such a person truly trust you and respect you? Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Although it was not so impassioned and inspiring, every sentence hit the nail on the head. Bai Longjian finally reacted and asked, will you truly respect us? Trust us? Of course. Time will prove everything. But the premise is that you have to give me a chance to prove it. Qin Feiyang nodded. People's hearts change. Bai Longjian said meaningfully. This also depends on who it is. Qin Feiyang smiled. Haha, Bai Longjian laughed loudly. Qin Feiyang looked at it expectantly. I have to admit that you have moved this sovereign. All right. Let's give each other a chance. Let time prove everything. Clang. As the voice fell, Bai Longjian's divine power surged and also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. Then it attacked the two battle swords and the green cauldron. The third seal was finally completed. For Qin Feiyang, this was even happier than obtaining the epitome of the war law and the thunder law. Subduing 3 Dominator divine weapons was something that others would never be able to accomplish. But now he did it. With the addition of these 3 Dominator divine weapons, He was like a tiger that had grown wings. By Long Jian Black Dragon Mirror, Golden Dragon Spear, Horsetail Whisk, Blood Dragon Blade, Ancient Castle, Thanatos Sword, plus the Sky Palace and Demon Palace's Dominator Divine Weapons. Now, he already had 9 Dominator Divine Weapons, plus the Slaughter Domain with his current foundation. Even if he returned to the Sky Cloud realm now, he would be able to compete with a Forbidden Zone. The human race already had the foundation to not fear the 3 Forbidden Zones. Similarly, also because of the betrayal of the Blood Dragon Blade, White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear, the strength of the dragons had plummeted. However, it wasn't over yet. He wanted to nibble away the strength of the dragons step by step, disintegrate the dragon's foundation, and let the dragons walk towards destruction step by step. Li Feng, who was beside him, silently witnessed the entire process. In his heart he admired and feared Qin Feiyang. Although the process of persuading the 3 Dominator Divine Weapons was very difficult, the righteousness that Qin Feiyang showed and the respect for the Dominator Divine Weapons was something that no one could compare to. Moreover, there was no deception. A pure heart. Was this Qin Dage's way of doing things? Heart. True feelings, it seemed simple. But in this world full of fame and wealth, full of selfish desires, it was too difficult to maintain this original heart. Especially in the face of the Dominator Divine Weapon. The Dominator Divine Weapon was the strongest divine weapon in the world. Everyone could only see their strength and the fame and wealth that they could bring to themselves. In other words, it was all to satisfy their own selfish desires that they yearned for the Dominator Divine Weapon. But the man in front of him was different. Li Feng could clearly feel that Qin Feiyang persuaded the White Dragon Sword and the other Dominator Divine Weapons mainly for the sake of the entire human race. Because the status of the human race in the Sky Cloud realm was too weak, and they could face the risk of extinction at any time. Someone had to stand up and lead the human race. Of course, there was definitely some selfishness. After all, Qin Feiyang was not a saint. But the public had to be bigger than the private. Chapter 3691. Boom! Crack! Now that it was 5 against 3, the Golden Sword and the Silver Sword were extremely annoyed. They never thought that it would turn out like this. The Green Cauldron was even more depressed. Came here for no reason. And asked for its help for no reason. Alright. For the sake of their many years of friendship, it helped. However, why did the 3 Sovereign Divine Weapons, which were originally opposing the 2 humans, suddenly side with them? Until now it still didn't know what was going on. Qin Feiyang looked at the battlefield, his eyes flashing. The Ancient Castle, the Sword of the Grim Reaper, the White Dragon Sword, the Golden Dragon Spear, and the Black Dragon Realm all had a protective barrier. The protection of the 5 barriers, coupled with the Ancient Castle and the other 5 Sovereign Divine Weapons, had deliberately moved the battlefield far away. So now his and Li Feng's safety was guaranteed. However, it was not easy for the Ancient Castle and the other 5 Sovereign Divine Weapons to severely injure the Golden Sword, the Silver Sword, and the Green Cauldron, because, in terms of numbers, they did not have the advantage of 2 against 1. One had to know. Even in a 2 against 1 situation, it would take a lot of time to defeat the existence of the Sovereign Divine Weapon. For example, in the process of fighting with the Blood Hall, the Ancient Castle had repeatedly used its own strength to stall the 2 Sovereign Divine Weapons. Of course, if the Ancient Castle and the others were given enough time now, in the end, none of the 3 Sovereign Divine Weapons would be able to escape. But at present Qin Feiyang was worried about one thing. Things would change if he delayed. He didn't dare to drag on like this. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He looked at the Green Cauldron and said, "You have nothing to do with this. If you leave now, I won't make things difficult for you." As long as the Green Cauldron didn't interfere, the 5 against 2 situation would be completely crushed. Old devil, I don't want to believe his words. He even subdued the 3 Sovereign Divine Weapons one by one. He definitely won't let us go. Don't worry. With such a big commotion, it will soon alert our old friends nearby. When they all arrive, won't it be easy to kill this human? The Golden Sword laughed sinisterly. What did he say? Old friends? Is there a Sovereign Divine Weapon nearby? Li Feng was surprised. Qin Feiyang felt a chill in his heart. As a sovereign weapon, the golden sword wouldn't be so childish as to scare them. He had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, if he really alarmed those so-called old friends nearby, the situation would become very bad. Suddenly, Bai Longjian opened his mouth and said somewhat angrily, "Old devil, we've been fighting for so long, yet you still haven't recognized me?" Lu Ding was bewildered. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. What was going on? Could it be that Bai Longjian and Lu Ding knew each other? Bai Longjian said, "The last time the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasury opened, the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race joined forces to forcefully subdue you. Do you still remember who saved you from their hands and returned you your freedom?" Hearing this, the green cauldron trembled and said angrily, "So it's you. You're with them." "Not bad. That's me," Bai Longjian replied proudly. "Bastard. I'm going to kill you." Green Cauldron was instantly enraged, as if he had seen an enemy. "Kill me? Let's see if you have the ability." Bai Longjian snorted disdainfully and continued, "I'm telling you this now. Not because I want to continue being your enemy. I want you to remember who saved you from the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race. I remember it was a human. And he seems to be a very amazing human. The dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race seem to call him the Feather Emperor." Lu Ding said intermittently as he recalled, "Feather Emperor?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wasn't this the ancestor? The ancestor actually saved this green cauldron from the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race back then? It seems that your memory is not bad. Then I'll tell you now. The young man standing over there called Qin Feiyang is the direct descendant of the Feather Emperor. Bai Longjian said. What? Lu Ding shook slightly. His divine sense enveloped Qin Feiyang and asked, "You're the descendant of the Feather Emperor?" "Yes. The Feather Emperor is this junior's ancestor." Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Ding asked suspiciously, "But why do you have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon?" Qin Feiyang was about to speak. Bai Longjian spoke first. "It's a long story. I don't have time to explain it to you now. The Feather Emperor saved your life back then and gave you your freedom. Now that you've met his descendant, you're not going to repay kindness with enmity, are you? How can you prove that he's the descendant of the Feather Emperor? If you can prove it, I'll immediately retreat to the side," Lu Ding said angrily. Bai Longjian pondered for a moment and asked, "Qin Feiyang, do you have the Feather Emperor's token?" "No. As you know, I've only seen the ancestor a few times." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Then this is really difficult." Bai Longjian was a little annoyed. "Old devil, don't be fooled by them. They're just taking advantage of your gratitude to the Feather Emperor." The golden and silver swords roared. "You're courting death." Hearing this, Lu Ding was furious and attacked Bai Longjian crazily. "Bastard! Although he doesn't have the token, he and the Feather Emperor both have the surname Qin. Even if their bloodlines are different, they still belong to the same lineage. With your strength, as long as you look carefully, you'll definitely be able to recognize it." Bai Longjian roared. Hearing this, Lu Ding suppressed the anger in his heart and landed outside the barrier with a clang, saying, "Do you dare to let me check your bloodline power?" "Of course." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Okay." The green cauldron unleashed its full power, smashing apart the barriers set up by the 5 sovereign divine weapons. It then released a terrifying divine aura, isolating the shockwaves from the battle outside. "Qin Dage, be careful." Li Feng secretly became alert. Now, if Lu Ding suddenly attacked them, even the 5 sovereign divine weapons wouldn't be able to save them in time. "Don't panic." Qin Feiyang comforted Li Feng and looked at Lu Ding calmly. Lu Ding's divine sense instantly shrouded Qin Feiyang. Time passed by bit. The 5 sovereign divine weapons took the opportunity to attack the golden and silver swords crazily. The 2 sovereign divine weapons wailed in pain. Cracks began to appear on the surface of his body. This was a situation where 5 against 2. There was no chance to escape. A moment later, Lu Ding retracted his divine sense and said with a bit of excitement, "Your bloodline power does contain some of the Feather Emperor's aura. There's no need to lie to you. I'm really the descendant of the Feather Emperor. And it was the ancestor who personally sent me to the Sky Bell Divine Treasure." Qin Feiyang smiled. Lu Ding was silent for a while and slowly retracted his murderous aura, saying, I didn't expect to meet his descendant after so many years. This should be the so-called fate. How is the Feather Emperor now? The ancestor is doing well. If not for the fact that the ancestor has mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest law, he would have come personally. Qin Feiyang smiled. He has already mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest law? It seems that he hasn't been idle all these years. All right. I was blind before. Please forgive me. Lu Ding said with an apologetic smile after feeling a little emotional. It's okay. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. All right. Since you're the descendant of the Feather Emperor, I'll give you a hand now. Lu Ding said and immediately sent Qin Feiyang and Li Feng to a safe area. Just in case, he deliberately left a protective barrier and then turned to go to the battlefield. What is he going to do? Li Feng was surprised. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. When Green Cauldron returned to the battlefield, the 5 Dominator weapons were shocked. Green Cauldron went straight for the gold and silver swords. Old devil, what are you doing? Do you really believe their nonsense? The 2 swords roared angrily. The aura of the bloodline power can't be wrong. Lu Ding snorted coldly. The sword of Thanatos, White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear came back to their senses and couldn't help but laugh. Together with Lu Ding, they crazily attacked the 2 swords. The situation of 6 against 3 was even more ruthless. The 2 swords were full of regret. First, White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear surrendered, and now this old devil turned hostile. How did a sure-win situation turn out like this? Stop fighting. We'll break if you continue. We'll beg for mercy. Please let us go. In less than 100 breaths, the 2 swords began to beg. They couldn't escape and couldn't win. What else could they do but beg for mercy? Now you know to beg for mercy? When you were chasing us, didn't you look like you were going to kill us? And you want us to fulfill your request? Who do you think you are? The sword of Thanatos sneered. He didn't buy it. He had to take revenge. White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear were also full of resentment. At that time, if it weren't for these 2 bastards interfering, how could Qin Feiyang force the 3 of them to self-destruct? He was not a gentleman if he did not take revenge. He had to pay the price for being arrogant. Kacha, after another fierce beating, the 2 swords shattered into pieces, and the divine light dimmed. Really, don't hit us anymore. We're all broken. Please. We know we were wrong. Please give us a chance. The 2 swords begged endlessly. Then are you still arrogant? White Dragon Sword snorted coldly. I don't dare anymore. The 2 swords trembled. The sword of Thanatos asked, Then do you still need us to give you treasures that can enter your eyes? No, we were just joking. How would we dare to ask for it? The 2 great war swords obeyed, as humble as their grandsons. If I don't beat you up, you won't be honest. The sword of Thanatos coldly snorted, erased the battle fluctuations in this world, and shouted, Qin Feiyang, come here. Done. Hearing the voice of the sword of Thanatos, the 2 immediately flew to the center of the battlefield. The distance was too far for the naked eye to see. But soon, they saw the 2 swords surrounded by the 6 sovereigns' divine weapons. Looking at the 2 swords that were in a sorry state, Li Feng was stunned, and said with a wry smile, Originally, they were going to help us suppress them. It seems that the sovereign divine weapons here are all in their own places, and there is no real friendship. Qin Feiyang nodded. Let alone the 2 great swords, even he was quite surprised to see this scene. Chapter 3692. Landing beside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 great swords and laughed. You didn't expect it to fall into my hands so quickly, right? The world is unpredictable. The world is unpredictable. The 2 great swords laughed embarrassedly. Humph! Qin Feiyang snorted from his nose and said, You should be glad that I can't enter the Black Tortoise realm now. Otherwise I would have made you stay in the Soul-Sealing Valley for a while. Soul-Sealing Valley? White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear heard this and couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Back then, Qi Xiong and the others ambushed Qin Feiyang and the others. In the end, they were betrayed by the blood dragon blade. And all the patriarchs were seriously injured, and their souls were suppressed in the soul-sealing valley. Although they didn't see it with their own eyes, when the golden dragon chief and the others returned to the dragon's nest, they also heard about it. A huge cesspool. The stench was overwhelming. In such a place, not to mention ordinary people, even they, as sovereign divine weapons, would change their expressions upon hearing the news. However, Green Cauldron 2 battle swords. Li Feng, however, was a little suspicious. Although Li Feng was very familiar with Qin Feiyang, he knew very little about the situation in the Black Tortoise realm. But from Qin Feiyang's tone, he could tell that it should be a very terrifying place. Qin Feiyang calmed down, looked at the 2 great swords and said, "Now you have 2 choices." "What choice?" The 2 great swords were suspicious and nervous. "First, submit to me. Second, destroy," Qin Feiyang said indifferently. When the 2 great swords heard this, they couldn't help but feel disheartened. In fact, they had already guessed that Qin Feiyang might force them to submit, but in their hearts they couldn't help but feel a trace of luck. In the end, it turned out that they were thinking too much. "Not willing." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. No. The 2 great swords hurriedly denied. "You don't have to deny it. I can understand your feelings. After all, you are sovereign divine weapons, the strongest divine weapons in the world. Submitting to others is a disgrace. However, you asked for it. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider." 3, 2, 1. Qin Feiyang began to count. The golden sword shouted, "Can't you count a bit slower?" Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and said indifferently, "Time's up. Please make your decision." The 2 great swords were incomparably sullen. The fate of a dominator's divine weapon was actually being controlled by a human brat. "Seems that you have chosen destruction." A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. No. We choose to submit." The golden sword hastily roared. "Are you really going to submit?" The silver sword was surprised. "Brother, don't worry. This is just a temporary measure. Think about it. What in this world can control the freedom of our sovereign divine weapon?" The golden sword secretly sneered. "I see." The silver sword suddenly understood. First, he would pretend to submit and wait for his body to recover before finding an opportunity to escape. The golden sword let out a deep sigh and said righteously, "Quickly drip your blood on it and claim it as your master. We won't resist." Drip blood on it? Qin Feiyang smiled. Did they really think he was a 3-year-old child? What? The 2 great swords were suspicious. "There's no need to do such a meaningless act. I need you to make a blood oath to be forever loyal to me, Qin Feiyang. If you have the slightest intention to betray me, your soul will be destroyed." Qin Feiyang said. "Blood oath again?" The 2 great swords were shocked. Previously, when this human faced the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, he also made a blood oath. It seemed to be a bit different from ordinary oaths. Could it really come true? Impossible. "Hurry up," the Grim Reaper's sword urged. Okay. The 2 great swords responded repeatedly, and made a blood oath one after another according to Qin Feiyang's method. Qin Feiyang's face finally showed a trace of a smile. First, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear were moved by him and abandoned the darkness for the light. Now these 2 great swords were forced to make a blood oath. In this way, he had obtained 5 sovereign divine weapons. He thought that this time it might not bode well for him, but he didn't expect that the result would be a complete victory. Now, the ancient castle, the Grim Reaper sword, the Horsetail whisk, the blood dragon blade, plus the sovereign divine weapons of the Demon Palace and the Sky Palace, as well as the white dragon sword, these 5 sovereign divine weapons. Now, he had 11 sovereign divine weapons. Such a foundation had already surpassed the dragons at their peak. This was because even at their peak, the dragon clan only had 10 sovereign weapons. However, he couldn't be careless. After all, the human race was facing the 3 forbidden areas. It wasn't just the dragons. Besides, Long Chen had also entered the Skybell divine treasure this time. With Long Chen's ability and strength, he would probably obtain a lot of good fortune. There was one more thing. The Grim Reaper's sword, the 2 sovereign divine weapons of the Sky Palace and the Demon Palace, were only temporarily lent to him by Yun Zhongtian and the others. So, he had to continue working hard. Qin Feiyang suddenly looked at the two great swords and said with an incomparably serious expression, "Let me tell you, don't be too lucky, the blood oath will really come true. After all, it wasn't easy to subdue them. If they were killed by the heavenly tribulation, it would be too much of a pity." The two great swords didn't pay much attention to it at first, but seeing Qin Feiyang's serious attitude, they couldn't help but become nervous. Was he really not scaring them? "I'm really not scaring you. There was once a sovereign divine weapon that was killed on the spot by the heavenly tribulation because it violated the blood oath. If you don't believe me, you can try," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the two great swords really didn't dare to try. "All right. Seeing that you are sovereign divine weapons, I will waste a little more time and personally verify it for you." Qin Feiyang really didn't want to see the two great swords die because of a trace of luck in their hearts. He turned to Li Feng and said, "Go and find a human-shaped skeleton." "All right." Li Feng nodded, turned around, and used an auxiliary divine art to disappear at the end of the mountain range in front of him. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. It was really troublesome to verify it on the spot. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was a sovereign divine weapon, he wouldn't have bothered to do this. Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Ding and bowed again. "Thank you, senior." "No problem." Lu Ding smiled. Qin Feiyang glanced at Bai Longjian, then looked at Lu Ding curiously and asked, "What happened back then?" "Back then, I accidentally encountered the Kirin clan, the Feng people, and the dragons. At that time, there were a total of 6 of them, and they all carried sovereign divine weapons with them. Bai Longjian was one of them. With 6 sovereign divine weapons, I was definitely not their match. But at the last moment, your ancestor, the Feather Emperor, appeared with a group of experts and saved me from their hands." Lu Ding explained. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. "At that time, I thought that the Feather Emperor would make me submit like the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan. But I didn't expect that he would let me choose for myself. And even if I chose to leave in the end, he didn't make things difficult for me. So all these years, I have always remembered his kindness." Lu Ding smiled. "It's really fate." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "No, to be exact, this was karma. Back then, the Feather Emperor saved Lu Ding because of karma. Now, Lu Ding helped him because of karma. If it weren't for the kindness of the ancestor back then, how could today's situation be resolved? Karma was indeed everywhere." Lu Ding smiled and said, "Since this matter is over, I will take my leave first." "Huh?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and hurriedly looked at Lu Ding. "Senior, are you not interested in the outside world at all?" Lu Ding was stunned. "I know that Senior likes to be free and unrestrained. But look at the Skybell Divine Treasure. What is here? Are you willing to stay in this place in obscurity for the rest of your life? If Senior trusts me, why don't you leave the Skybell Divine Treasure with me? I promise that I won't restrict Senior's freedom. Everything is up to Senior's wishes." Qin Feiyang lowered his head and bowed, his face full of sincerity. Lu Ding was silent for a while and chuckled. "Thank you for thinking so highly of me. Let's meet again if fate allows." After saying that, he disappeared at the end of the world without looking back. "What a pity." Qin Feiyang sighed. "Don't be so greedy. You're still not satisfied with us joining." Bai Longjian snorted coldly. "I'm not greedy. I really feel that for a sovereign divine weapon like him who knows how to repay kindness, leaving him in the Skybell Divine Treasure is really burying his value." Qin Feiyang sighed. "That's true," Bai Longjian muttered. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, looked at Bai Longjian and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, "From now on we're family. Please take care of us." "Hypocrite." Bai Longjian despised him. "How am I hypocritical?" Qin Feiyang felt wronged. Had they ever seen a man as sincere as him? All right. There was still a generation gap between him and these sovereign divine weapons. After all, he was still young. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, looked at Bai Longjian and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, "Back to the topic, I'll have to trouble the 3 seniors to be a good person until the end." "What do you mean?" Bai Longjian, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear were suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, The dragons don't know that you're already with me, so I need you to continue to hide among the dragons. You want the scene of the blood dragon blade to happen again? Black Dragon Mirror asked. Qin Feiyang nodded. 3 sovereign divine weapons hiding among the dragons, the effect would definitely be more explosive than the blood dragon blade. This, by Longjian, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear were a little hesitant. Don't worry. Those who know about today's matter are all present. I, Castle, and the Sword of Thanatos will definitely not say anything. Green Cauldron obviously doesn't like the dragons either. Li Feng hates the dragons even more than I do, so he won't say anything. As for these 2 things, Qin Feiyang glanced at the 2 swords. Can you speak properly? What do you mean by things? The 2 swords expressed their protest. They were all sovereign divine weapons, but the difference in treatment was too big, right? He was filled with respect for the ancient castle, the sword of the Grim Reaper, and the white dragon sword. But they treated them with a cold face. How could they be like this? Chapter 3693. Qin Feiyang ignored them and looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons with a smile. These 2 are controlled by the blood oath, so they won't dare to say anything. Even if you return to the dragons and face the Dragon King, you won't be in any danger. Of course, if the Dragon King notices anything or faces any danger, you don't need to ask me. Make your own decision. In short, the prerequisite for completing the mission is to ensure your own safety, Qin Feiyang added. Since you've already said so much, what else can we say? Fine. We're already on your pirate ship. The 3 sovereign divine weapons smiled helplessly. Cough cough. Am I on a pirate ship? Qin Feiyang was helpless. Gubberg said, since we're going to continue hiding among the dragons, it's best that we part ways now. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons. And when you see us in the future, you have to treat us as enemies like before. We don't need you to remind us. Take care of yourself. Don't die in the Sky Bell divine treasure before the dragons are destroyed. The 3 divine weapons of the sovereigns turned around and flew away at lightning speed. Qin Feiyang watched the 3 sovereign divine weapons leave with a faint smile on his face. You did well this time. You didn't force them to surrender but chose to persuade them. If you force sovereign divine weapons like them, you might not get what you want. Gubberg smiled approvingly. I just thought of it on the spot. After all, sovereign divine weapons have feelings too. As long as you show them your sincerity, I believe they will see it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Keep up the good work. With that, Gubberg returned to Qin Feiyang's Qi with the Sword of Thanatos. Now, only Qin Feiyang and the 2 sovereign divine weapons were left. Ever since he left, the 2 sovereign divine weapons had been feeling uneasy. Please don't be true. Otherwise, I'll have to work like a horse for this human brat. As a Dominator divine weapon, of course it would want to save face. Qin Feiyang cut his finger and 2 drops of golden-purple dragon blood fell on the 2 sovereign divine weapons. The 2 sovereign divine weapons didn't resist. Master recognition was successful. Information about the 2 sovereign divine weapons appeared in Qin Feiyang's mind. Gold Sun God. Silver Moon. The 2 great divine swords were both born from the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Qin Feiyang asked, how much do you guys know about the Heaven Bell divine treasure? Why, Vegas will tell you. Gold's gold divine weapons. Although he had made a blood oath, the blood oath was only limited to never betraying him. It did not say that he had to answer his questions. Feiyang's sovereign divine weapons. Let me tell you, the Sky Bell divine treasure isn't as simple as you think. Find a place fine to hide. Dragon Silver Moon Godsword was also unruly. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. It seemed that when he forced the sovereign divine weapons to make a blood oath in the future, he would have to add another one. They had to be honest and answer all questions. Otherwise, with their unruly characters, it would be hard to control them. Bang! At this moment, in the distance, a rumbling sound could be heard. Battle fluctuation? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked up. The rumbling sound wasn't very loud. Moreover, the battle fluctuation was also very weak. It was impossible to distinguish the aura of the battle. Obviously, the location of the battle was very far away from him. And this direction seemed to be the direction Li Feng went? It seemed that Li Feng had already found the skeleton and was suppressing it. After all, there was a battle between sovereign divine weapons here. The nearby skeletons must have fled far away. With Li Feng's current strength, suppressing the skeletons shouldn't be a problem. Are you sure you want to continue being so arrogant? Qin Feiyong retracted his gaze and glanced at the two sovereign divine weapons with ill intentions. We are so arrogant. What can you do to us? The two sovereign divine weapons sneered. Is that so? Don't forget your current situation. Your main body hasn't recovered yet. I also believe that the resentment in the heart of the ancient castle and the sword of Thanatos shouldn't have dissipated yet. Qin Feiyong laughed. The two sovereign divine weapons froze. Golden Sun Divine Sword hurriedly said as if to please. Don't. Just a joke. What's there to be serious about? Actually, we're not arrogant at all. We're very low-key and humble. If you don't believe me, you can ask around. Our character is also very good. Silver Moon Divine Sword also smiled flatteringly. The veins on Qin Feiyong's forehead suddenly jumped. Low-key and humble? Had a good character? Could they be more shameless? After all, they were sovereign divine weapons. Didn't they feel that they were going against their conscience? He could see that these two were simply unreliable bastards. It was also his fault for being blind. From the cooperation at the beginning to the pursuit later, he should have already seen the character of these two bastards. Keeping them by his side was simply keeping two troublemakers. But they were sovereign divine weapons. He couldn't bear to let them go. What a dilemma. He dared to bet. When he met up with the white-eyed wolf, these two sovereign divine weapons would definitely collude with the white-eyed wolf immediately. Because they were all the same. Then tell me, where's the exit of the Skybell divine treasure? How many sovereign divine weapons are there around here? Is there any inheritance of the ultimate profound meaning of the strongest law? Qin Feiyong asked helplessly. Since they were leaving the Skybell divine treasure, there must be an exit. The little rabbit and the feather emperor didn't tell him the location of the exit, so he could only find it himself. You have so many questions. How do you want us to answer? Golden Sun Divine Sword muttered. Nonsense. Of course you have to answer them one by one. Do you still need me to teach you this? Qin Feiyong roared. He was really going crazy. It was actually so difficult to even speak. No need. Golden Sun Divine Sword smiled embarrassedly. Boom. But at this moment, the battle fluctuations in the distance suddenly became several times stronger. Qin Feiyong once again raised his head to look, and a trace of bewilderment crept up between his brows. This was the aura of the ultimate profound meaning. And there was more than one ultimate profound meaning. Moreover, in addition to the aura of the ultimate profound meaning, there seemed to be another aura. It seemed to be super forbidden technique. Not good. Qin Feiyong's expression changed, and he shouted, Quickly follow me. Immediately, he stepped on space-time steps and rushed towards the battlefield. Are you not going to listen to us answer your questions? Golden Sun Divine Sword and Silver Hair Divine Sword chased after him and asked. I'm not in the mood to mess around with you guys right now. It's best if you know what's good for you. Qin Feiyong's face was gloomy. Asking Li Feng to find a skeleton, he actually encountered a supreme expert with a super forbidden technique. This Skybell divine treasure was indeed full of danger. However, the skeleton shouldn't have a super forbidden technique, right? Then it must be someone from the Sky Cloud realm. Dragons? Feng people? Or the Qilin clan? In the distance, in the sky above a shattered mountain range, two figures were constantly fighting in the void. One of them was Li Feng. At this moment, one could only see that his entire body was dripping with blood, and he was in an extremely sorry state. The other person was a woman. She looked to be in her 20s. She was wearing a tight white outfit that accentuated her petite and exquisite figure. Her snow-white hair was tied up high, making her look valiant and formidable. Bing Runing, don't go too far. Li Feng roared. That's right. This woman was Bing Runing. Compared to before, her current strength was much stronger. Not only had she stepped into the great perfection sovereign realm, she had even grasped a supreme profound meaning. Don't blame me. You can only blame yourself for being acquainted with Qin Feiyong. Bing Runing sneered. The frost that filled the sky instantly froze, freezing the world. Ice Law's ultimate profound meaning. Li Feng activated the ultimate profound meaning of the slaughter law, and the sky full of blood-colored lightning poured down, crazily colliding with the frost. Still struggling, Bing Runing shook her head and sneered. But suddenly, she raised her head to look at the void in front of her and saw a white-clothed youth streaking across the sky like lightning. It was Qin Feiyang. Bing Runing. Qin Feiyang also saw Bing Runing, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Do you know why I haven't killed this person yet? Because I've been waiting for you. Waiting for you to come and see him die under my sword with your own eyes. Ice Phoenix Sword Kill. As Bing Runing sneered, a sword shadow swept out from her body. It was the sovereign divine weapon, Ice Phoenix Sword. As soon as the Ice Dragon Sword appeared, it erupted with a terrifying sword chi that turned into a torrent, shattering the void and the earth as it charged toward Li Feng. You can stay here and enjoy the pain of losing your companion. Bing Runing sneered. Clang! As soon as Bing Runing's voice fell, the Ice Phoenix Sword immediately turned around and left with Bing Runing without looking back. The torrent formed by the sword chi did not stop at all and instantly drowned Li Feng. Li Feng! Qin Feiyang roared. This time, even the ancient castle and the death god sword were too late to rescue him. They could only watch as Li Feng was shattered by the sword chi. I'll go. She even dares to provoke this human. This woman is not simple. Ruthless enough. The Gold Sun Divine Sword and the Silver Moon Divine Sword muttered. When Qin Feiyang flew to the sky above the battlefield, the Death God's sword appeared and quickly shattered the sword chi. He could no longer find Li Feng. After all, the Ice Phoenix Sword was a sovereign divine weapon. How could Li Feng's body of flesh and blood withstand the attack of a sovereign divine weapon? Not even his bones were left behind. Bing Runing, I won't let you go. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with intense killing intent. With a fierce roar, he prepared to chase after Bing Runing. Qin Dage, but suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. Li Feng. Qin Feiyang was startled. He quickly turned his head and saw a youth in blood red flying towards him. What is this? He actually didn't die? Then who was the one who died under the sword chi? Not only Qin Feiyang, the Death God's sword, the Gold Sun Divine Sword, and the Silver Moon Divine Sword were all dumbfounded on the spot. They had seen Li Feng die here with their own eyes. Li Feng flew over and looked at the battlefield below, his face full of fear. What's going on? Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and asked anxiously. Chapter 3694. Luckily I'm smart. Li Feng grinned and explained. Earlier, I encountered a human-shaped skeleton here, and was about to take it down when Bing Runing suddenly appeared. I know that Bing Runing is the daughter of Bing Feng people, so she must have a sovereign divine weapon on her. So when I saw her appear, I immediately looked for an opportunity to activate the puppet true body. In other words, she only killed one of my true body puppets, Yi Zichen said. Li Feng explained. Puppet true bodies? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Li Feng nodded. As he waved his hand, blood gushed out. Then the blood quickly condensed into a blood-red clothed youth under Qin Feiyang's shocked gaze. This blood-red clothed youth looked exactly like Li Feng. This is my puppet true body, Yi Futian said. The puppet true body was condensed from my own blood. Not only does it have my consciousness, but it also has all of my means. It's equivalent to another me. Li Feng smiled. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang came to a sudden realization, and finally heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Dage, thank you, Li Feng said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, what are you thanking me for? Thank you for still being so concerned about me. Li Feng chuckled. He had seen Qin Feiyang's unusually angry expression with his own eyes. It was obvious. His importance in Qin Dage's heart had never changed. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this. He then looked at the puppet true body and asked curiously, it seems to be similar to the 3,000 incarnations? More or less. But the numbers are far inferior. I can only summon 3 puppet true bodies at most. It's definitely not comparable to the 3,000 incarnations. Li Feng scratched his head and laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, with 3 puppet true bodies and your original body, you're already strong enough to dominate the same realm. Dominate the same realm? Li Feng smiled bitterly. Right now, he wasn't at the major success sovereign realm, nor was he at the perfection sovereign realm. He was a perfection sovereign realm expert. There were simply too many things contained within the perfect ruler realm. There were ordinary laws and supreme laws. There were also the supreme profundities of ordinary laws and supreme profundities of supreme laws. There were also the ultimate profundities of ordinary laws, as well as the ultimate profundities of supreme laws. The difference between the strong and the weak was not small. Therefore, only existences like the Dragon King and the Feather Emperor would dare to proclaim themselves as the strongest in this realm. However, he was very happy to be praised by Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang suddenly asked, "Will the destruction of the true body of this puppet affect you in any way?" "It doesn't matter. After all, it's condensed from blood. It's just losing some blood." Li Feng shook his head. "Not bad." Qin Feiyang smiled and turned to look in the direction Bing Runing had left. "Pain. Sorry to disappoint you. This woman must be eliminated as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future." Li Feng also raised his head and looked in that direction. His eyes flickered with wisps of bloody light as he said, "Qin Dage, this Bing Runing's strength is much stronger than when she fought with Princess Huafeng on White Crane Island. You can't be careless." "You know about what happened on White Crane Island?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. The Sky Palace Lord told me." Li Feng nodded. "Then, when you fought with Bing Runing before, what do you think of her current strength?" Qin Feiyang asked. "First of all, her cultivation has reached the perfect ruler realm. Secondly, she has comprehended the supreme profundities of the law of ice. The most important thing is that she carries a sovereign divine weapon with her." Li Feng seemed a little unconvinced. Because if Bing Runing didn't have a sovereign divine weapon, he wouldn't be afraid at all. "That's all?" Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Li Feng was stunned and nodded with a bitter smile. "That's all?" These words were too hurtful. However, this man did have the qualifications to say such words. "Compared to these, I want to know more. Why is she here? And when did you appear here?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. "You mean, she might have seen us subduing White Dragon Sword and the other 2 sovereign divine weapons?" Li Feng was surprised. All these years you have been in the northern continent. Later you hid in the Sky Palace. Even when we found you, you hid in the Death Glacier. Therefore no one knows about our relationship. But how did she know? Why did she wait for me here? It's not hard to imagine that she knew I was nearby." Qin Feiyang said. "Maybe she sensed the fluctuations of the battle between the ancient castle and the Grim Reaper's sword, so she knew you were here?" Li Feng said. "No. I reckon that after persuading White Dragon Sword and the others, Bing Runing discovered us and hid in the dark to watch us." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Li Feng asked suspiciously, "Why do you say that it was after we persuaded White Dragon Sword and the others?" "It's simple. If Bing Runing had appeared before we persuaded White Dragon Sword and the others, she would not have let go of this good opportunity and joined forces with them to kill me." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That's true." Li Feng nodded. Based on Bing Runing's hatred for Qin Feiyang, seeing Qin Feiyang being chased by several sovereign divine weapons, she would not hesitate to attack. This woman must be killed. Otherwise, White Dragon Sword and the others will not be able to continue hiding among the dragons. Moreover, she deserves to die. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. He looked at the Grim Reaper's sword and asked, "Can we still chase after her?" The Grim Reaper's sword said, "Ice Phoenix Sword's aura will remain. We can chase after her." "Okay. Chase after her," Qin Feiyang said. Since she came to provoke him, she could not blame him for being ruthless. Clang! The sword of the Grim Reaper immediately took Qin Feiyang, and the 2 battle swords and streaked across the sky like a bolt of lightning in the direction Bing Runing had left. Li Feng looked at the 2 battle swords for a moment, then suddenly moved closer to Qin Feiyang's ear and whispered, "Qin Dage, with them, won't it be easy to track Bing Runing?" Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised. He turned to look at the 2 battle swords and quickly understood what Li Feng meant. The nest of the 2 sovereign divine weapons, which was the valley, was only a day's journey from here. Therefore, they must be very familiar with everything in this area. This included the human-shaped skeletons and sovereign divine weapons in this area. As long as they helped, there would be a way to stop Bing ruining. Why are you looking at us? Seeing Qin Feiyong's gaze, the two battle swords could not help but panic. Qin Feiyong asked, "You should have a way to stop Bing ruining, right? So you have something to ask of us?" "Of course. We are very familiar with this area. Stopping her will be child's play." The two divine swords smiled proudly. "Okay. Help me stop her," Qin Feiyong said. "Why should I? Also, is this the attitude you use to ask for help?" The two divine swords snorted. Qin Feiyong's face was dark. He looked at the sword of the Grim Reaper and said, "Help me find a human-shaped skeleton along the way. I will let them see the power of the blood oath." "Okay." The sword of the Grim Reaper responded. Its divine sense rolled out and covered all directions. Whoosh! The next moment, the sword of the Grim Reaper turned in the air and descended on a mountain like lightning. There was an ancient town below. There was a human-shaped skeleton hidden in the ancient town. At this moment, it sensed the aura of the sword of the Grim Reaper and was trembling. As a sovereign divine weapon, there was no doubt about the strength of the sword of the Grim Reaper. It directly crushed the ancient town and controlled the human-shaped skeleton. Then, under Qin Feiyong's coercion, the human-shaped skeleton quickly made a blood oath. Moreover, the oath this time was very direct and violent. As long as the human-shaped skeleton had a trace of resentment towards Qin Feiyong, it would be killed by the heavenly tribulation. After the blood oath was completed, Qin Feiyong let the sword of the Grim Reaper release the human-shaped skeleton. After the human-shaped skeleton obtained its freedom, without knowing that the blood oath would come true, it immediately had a trace of killing intent towards Qin Feiyong. Just as this killing intent appeared, the blood clouds in the sky churned, and a heavenly tribulation descended from the sky. The human-shaped skeleton was instantly shattered in the air, and its body and soul were destroyed. During the entire process, the sword of the Grim Reaper did not stop at all. It continued to chase after the remaining aura of the Ice Phoenix sword. At the side, Qin Feiyong looked at the heavenly tribulation that had killed the human-shaped skeleton in the air behind him and sneered. "Do you believe me now?" At this moment, the two divine swords were already trembling. "It would actually come true?" Li Feng said in a deep voice. "So from now on you'd better be honest." "So what if it comes true? We are Dominator divine weapons. How can an undead compare to us? I really don't believe that there is a heavenly tribulation in this world that can kill our Dominator divine weapons." The Gold Sun divine sword was still a little unwilling. "Don't test my patience. I have destroyed more than one Dominator divine weapon in my hands." Qin Feiyong stared at the two divine swords, his eyes flashing with a fierce light. Hearing this, the two divine swords' hearts trembled again. He had actually destroyed a Dominator divine weapon before? There was no denying it. This human brat did have the ability to do so. After all, he carried two Dominator divine weapons with him. But how could he bear to do so? When other humans saw a Dominator divine weapon, they couldn't wait to curry favor with it. It seemed that he was a ruthless person. "Sai, you guys should be more tactful. Don't look at how amiable he has always been, and how he seems to be playing around with you. If you really anger him, the consequences are not something you can imagine." The sword of the Grim Reaper secretly transmitted its voice. Hearing this, the two divine swords pondered for a moment and said, "All right, we'll help you." The sword of the Grim Reaper couldn't help but secretly heave a sigh of relief. It was really worried that these two guys were too arrogant and in the end, completely angered Qin Feiyong and directly destroyed them. Frankly speaking, destroying two Dominator divine weapons in one go. The sword of the Grim Reaper couldn't help but feel a heartache. At the same time, the fierce light in Qin Feiyong's eyes finally dissipated and was replaced by a trace of a smile. "In this area, besides the old devil and us, there are two other Dominator divine weapons. We can inform them to help intercept them. And one Dominator divine weapon is right in front of us. If Bing Ruining doesn't know in advance, she will definitely pass by there." The Gold Sun divine sword said. "You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories." Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.